Go.
Whatever floats your
Oh,
boat.
right. Yes, we are late, Elf Hunter. Who up finding their path? That's what we're trying to find out.
Yeah.
Long time no see, everyone. Well, at least this group in particular. I've been streaming and making videos, trying to get back at that. Life is crazy. If you know, you know. I'm happy to talk about it on stream too. But yeah, long and short, we're back. We seem to have found a day that works in the future. We're gonna do what Nicholas called a session point two and just get a general groundwork for what everybody likes about Pathfinder. What's working about this? What isn't working about this? And everybody just leveled up, so we can talk about level up mechanics, which I don't believe is something that we've talked about in the 6 or so sessions that we've had so far. So yeah, I'll leave that open to you guys, and any questions that we got, I'll try to pop them up over here.
It's impressive that the game survived past the holidays, because I've seen games not survive that.
No,
Oh, yeah.
the winter.
Yeah, it doesn't survive the harsh winter. Absolutely, yeah.
And I did offer dropping out completely, so that the Americas, as the Europeans say, can schedule something together without getting tied down by the European time zone.
It's honestly that's not the issue, because later in the day that would conflict with stuff that I have to do. So this is actually perfect for me, since I work 12-hour shifts. I have weekday mornings available, which is weird, but so that's bartending life for you.
So how you guys, after what, 6 sessions? How is it being your character's skin? I would like to talk some roleplay first and mechanics later.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd love to know from Flame Zombie about being into many different character skins while also juggling all of the roles in your head. And not just roles, but an adventure path at the same time. Like this is the full gamut that players expect from a game master to juggle, basically for free as a pastime for their fun, but his stress.
Well, I always take it as there's that line. Yekrep has posted the sort of like effort to fun ratio graph, where it's, if it doesn't require effort, if it doesn't stress you out even a little bit, it's probably fun you're not going to remember. It's not going to stick. It's not going to be worthwhile. The stuff that, you want a little bit of stress. It's fun to start juggling things, right? Like I'm learning guitar right now, and it's the first time in a long time I've learned like a brand new skill. And so remembering like, the pedagogy of learning a new thing, of like, well, if you start by just going, here's a whole note, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is super boring. Like that, it's not going to keep, even children into it. It's why a lot of children hate learning music, because they're like, this is not music. This is just a building block of a thing,
Yeah.
And I see some games like that where it's just like, oh, roll D20. And you're like, why? Why am I, for what purpose? I don't know, because we're playing a game and we haven't rolled one in a while. And at the same time, if you go too far, if you try to learn some crazy, Galnerius or Megadeth songs as your first songs, you're just going to get frustrated with it because it's too much too quickly. So I find with Pathfinder, it's a game that has a lot of mechanics, sure, but it's also a game that I've played for a very long time. So juggling the mechanics is quite a bit easier. And playing crunchy games in general, tie that together, is a lot like that. You shouldn't throw everything out there at once. You shouldn't go, oh, I need to know how the dirty trick combat maneuver works, and how the grapple combat maneuver works, and how siege equipment works, and how, if I'm thinking that, well, why do I have, siege equipment rules bouncing around in my head right now? It's not relevant, right? And just as GMs can telegraph that, I think players can telegraph that stuff too. Like, oh, we're going to be looking for siege equipment to fight off this dragon, what have you. Well, then that can be a prompt for me to go, okay, there isn't any in town, but once they get it, let's see, that can give me another session to look up those rules and go, oh, okay, now I know, because I know I'm going to need it in the near future. So yeah, that's sort of how I finagle the mechanical side of things with the role-playing side of things. More on the role-playing side of things, it's just tricky, I think, in no matter what system, to run multiple characters, especially in the same scene, without playing dolls with yourself. And I was happy to see that from lots of commenters. They a common thing they mentioned was like, wow, you did that tavern scene well. You know, you weren't like tying up too much of the player's time with all but still made it clear that there's a bunch of people, you know, huddled in here. And I was like, okay, cool, good deal, because that was tricky.
You say that, but to me, it's quite impressive how easily you slip from one thing to the other. You slip from the roleplay to the actual mechanics. That is one of the things that impressed me even back in the first session we did.
Oh,
where
cool.
You're like, oh no, yeah, I'm just rolling silently to see if they can hear the hushed conversation. Because I know that like there's this DC for listening to hushed conversation in Pathfinder. And that's super impressive that like you're able to roleplay that way whilst also doing all of those other mechanical aspects.
Well,
that is something that I would not be able to do, I believe.
It's like one of the biggest complaints that you hear, not only about our games, but about 4D in general, is that it's like, you guys don't use the mechanics. And I'm like, no, I do. But just like in a video game, you don't see the lines of code that are running up and down the whole time you're playing. A lot of it is, I'm just going, roll. Oh, yep, they hear this hush conversation, or roll. This Grioth is stabbing the sheriff before he's actually made it over here, and is doing a quite excellent job of keeping it silent. And so, and good times to do that are when like the three of you are role playing amongst yourselves, talking about something. That's a good time to do sort of NPCs fighting in the background, or sneaking up on you guys in the background, or something like that. What have you that's going on in the background. And it's one of the things where I was like, there's a lot of stuff that you don't see. It's not like I've said, I think actual play, that's one of the big reasons that particularly this style, I suppose, does not make it a very watchable medium, right? And as somebody said, like with director's commentary, like maybe if you edit it in here, this seems slow, but actually this is all happening.
Right. While role playing, we want to, when we talk, that's the thing that happens in the vault. I talk because I'm entering the tavern, I'm speaking in character, I'm sitting down at the table, but I don't verbalize I'm eating my ration for the day with this meal. You don't verbalize the mechanics. You keep the mechanics silent, so to say, because they are implied through the role play of what is happening here. Like imagine playing a role-playing game, but you would have to verbalize every time you eat and sleep, otherwise you would get exhausted. So you say, well, to not get exhausted this session, I'm gonna eat and sleep.
Yeah.
We all know that when you eat and sleep, so we can ignore the exhaustion rules.
Or like that's the sixth trail ration you've eaten in a row. If you eat one more, you'll start taking penalties for like meal fatigue, for not having like proper food. So are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
You could break for camp and like actually cook a meal.
That's an aspect of low trust as well. Right. It's something that the GMs do. They're like, oh, how do you get that swift action? All right. Like, how do you get that +4?
Yeah, and I used to be bad about that, right? Because, Pathfinder is quite easy to get really crazy numbers if you specialize your character a lot. And so it can be tempting in those low trust games where you're playing it as a game primarily, and you're, somebody rolls 13, somebody rolls 13 on 2d6. You're going, well, hang on, how? And 90% of the time, what it is they knew about some rule that you didn't, where it's like, well, my character allows me to add 1 to 2d6 if this is the circumstance. And when you have probably the biggest the biggest concern that particularly 4D people, but even outside of the circle, have with super crunchy games like Pathfinder are the if-then rule, where it's like, if this is the case, if you're grappling with someone, then this happens. Give an example of a kind of low trust game I was in, playing an unarmed fighter. Normally, when you're grappling with somebody, you can't take attacks of opportunity. It makes sense. It's just logical. You're wrestling with this guy. Somebody runs past you. You don't all of a sudden, you would have to stop grappling with this guy to attack the other guy. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Unarmed fighter gets to ignore that. They are specialized enough at grabbing that they can grab you with one hand, keep their awareness, and keep attacking off the outside. So we have this whole thing. Guy runs past me. And then I go, I swing my sword at him as he runs past.
Yeah.
And then the GM goes, well, okay, he wouldn't have done that then. I'm like, well, hang on. How would he know that my character in particular was super specialized at this skill and then decide to avoid?
Well, I clearly would have known just by looking at him what subclass of fighter he was. Obviously, pushing up glasses.
Yeah, so it became and it was a really quick I guess that would be meta knowledge. And then it's like, okay, but it totally took us out of the experience there, because now we have to have that discussion back and forth.
Yeah.
And now 3 people have been waiting on their turn, and instead we have to have a rules discussion. And like I've said, one last thing before, because I've been yapping here. One last thing. That's why I want to make some videos on that's the sort of thing that is not like, this is the 4D style. That will help you literally with board games, right?
Yeah.
That is an issue that people don't want to play board games with you for. Warhammer 40K, you spend 45 minutes setting the thing up for a game that's probably going to last 3 turns. On top of that, and that's just a problem with the game. Don't also add into those 3 turns 15 minutes of actually, not everything's a tournament, but you're not playing for money on the line, man. You're playing in a game shop on a Friday afternoon, right? It's not that serious. I think preserving flow of things is something that will help, in all sorts of stuff, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's tragic, but it as a social event. I mean, that's what board games are for a lot of people too. It's you start playing a board game, and then the pieces are sitting there halfway moved, and halfway through 3 beers in, you're having to go, hey man, it's your turn. It's and the 1 or 2 guys that are actually trying to play the board game are going, all right, they can just drink beer. We'll play the board game over here. But tragedy of that is, sometimes people get offended by that. Well, you're not inviting us out to play board games anymore? No, because you didn't really play the board game, right? So that's why I think stuff like that it's not even a 4D thing. It's lots of this is just nerd etiquette.
It really is, yeah. And one of the aspects there is this strange eagerness to change the past in a role-playing game, as if the damn thing isn't slow enough, right? So you're not even not even changing the future of the game, you change the past. Like, oh no, but if he did that, then I wouldn't have done it. So let's go back.
Right.
And that is very poisonous to the game, because if you don't play constantly forward, then the game's just going to stall, and it's awful to play in a table like that.
At role-playing tables, there's this reference towards the rules that they must be upheld at all cost. Which means, well, the cost is also the role play and the fluidity of the game, the flow of the game. How fast can we go from scene to scene, like talking in character back and forth between Talash and Shair, back to Talash, to Conway's character. I forgot it right now. Philippe. Yeah. And then the NPC saying something on the side, the bartender overhearing something and dropping a comment about some local lore we don't know about. It's really difficult to juggle all of that, but then stop to correct a rule. Like, oh, did we do this rule wrong? Nobody really cares. You care because you don't want to make a mistake. But that shouldn't be a problem. Make a mistake, figure out, oh, that was a mistake. Wait until the end of the session to be like, hey, did you like the session? Yeah, it was great. A few times mistakes were made that I picked up on. And then you can talk about it if it was a big deal that you want to have fixed next time.
Yeah. Well, and like, lots of people will mention that it's like, oh, a game like Pathfinder, how do you play it without a battle map? How do you play it without a grid map? And it's like, I mean, you already have things where the spells are like short, medium, long range, right? They give you the short hand. You don't have to use it's 400 feet plus 40 per level. And that once you're at 400 feet, that's like, okay, as long as you're not like shooting a silhouette on the horizon, right? Just use logic. You can, oh no, it was 480 feet and you only have 440 feet of range. How often in 13 years of playing this game has that come up for me? It hasn't. It realistically has not. So,
the big thing with that really helps with our games is anchoring. This concept, like a year ago, I wasn't even aware of anchoring as something that should be done in a role-playing game. Okay, it's not just speaking in character, but describing where your character is in the world, and in turn, the Game Master describes where the enemies are in relationship to the world, in relationship to you. So now you can create this own map in your mind of where everybody is. And if it's all foggy and we're like floating heads, then you anchor yourself. Like, I keep a 30-foot distance to him and enter a defensive stance. And now you have like a clear ruler between you and the enemy.
And the last home game I played, I tried to take a little bit of the advice of like, it wasn't Crispy, but it was somebody in Crispy's video that was like, you don't have to anchor every turn. And I was like, yeah, I know that. I tried anchoring a bit less and ran into the issue of, and of course it could be a skill issue with my description. I ran into the issue of players go, we had one out of character question of, wait, how far away are they again? Wait, what, these zombies are coming out of the graves around them. And, there's not like a super clear, distance as to here and there. And of course that could be solved with, I try to get, I'm aiming down my gun, try to gauge the distance, but again, that would be an anchoring statement, right? To gain more detail from the scene. So when you lose that anchoring, I think it's like, I think it's a really big thing on making theater of the mind work. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good way to put it. And
continue.
I think it would be interesting for you to have the experience from the other side of the play style as well. As in, you play as a player, not just as a GM, right?
Right.
I think it'd be super interesting because Pathfinder is a bit of a challenging beast to tackle, I have to say. And I mean, we had like to have a whole conversation, like change a few things here or there, with like initiative, that we don't use initiative, that kind of thing. I think it would help you to see how things are from like this side if you play as well. Maybe I can run like a one shot for us.
Yeah, I would love to play sometime for sure.
Yeah. Because then when you do like the retrospective for this game, because this is one thing I love about 4D. It's not a solved field. We're still trying different things and see what works and what doesn't. And I mean, so far I've been having a lot of fun in this 4D Pathfinder campaign, right?
Yeah.
And I want to see, like, in a retrospective, you being able to talk about being from the side of the player as well. It'd be super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one thing that the 4D crowd have objectively fixed, which is we don't have a GM shortage or whatever it is that the rest of the
absolutely not. No. We have a time shortage as well. We have at this point.
That's
and
universal.
To respond to Elf Hunter over here, I was wondering if anchoring really was slowing things down. It might just be overall pacing and style is different. I think there is a lot of those two things. One of the things that no pun intended, have pushback on the 4D space is pushes. I think do them if they make sense in the world, right? Something exigent and threatening just isn't happening all the time, right? And I know we can make some excuses for genre and fantasy, but I think I want the world to be believable. You know, even if you're in an active war zone, 90% of the time there's not fighting happening. There's not something breaking out, right? And I'm less interested in portraying a movie when we explicitly have the long form campaign and we're not stuck on a time constraint. You know, it's let it flow organically. Let these characters, you know, the term simulationism is poisoned, but play it as if these people really do live in this world, right? Yeah. I think it was correct that we definitely retread some ground, but a lot of that was we hadn't played in 4 weeks, and when you're watching the videos back to back, it becomes, oh yeah, we kind of did that last session already. When it's been a month, it's more difficult to remember. Oh yeah, we did that scene last time, right? We did that. So that's another part of it too.
That's a classic issue with role playing games. When you take longer breaks, you have to retread ground, and I think 4D has the same thing. Like when I see Crispy run his games, he does talk about, oh yeah, I'm watching the last episode before running the next session. It's like, okay.
Nah, see,
taking the extra 2 hours is extra 2 hours.
When I thought about that the first time we did it, I thought, okay, so I'm already having to wake up early since I'm, bartender. I work weird. I know it's funny to say our game starts at 11. You're waking up early. Yes, I usually work at noon, so I'm already waking up early, and then I was like, okay, I'll wake up an extra 2 hours early to get, or an hour and a half early to get, the last session in, maybe take notes on it. And that's another thing. I know Zonar, you take notes in the session.
Yep.
Which I think is fine, because absolutely, even if your character is not taking notes, I think that's a fine thing to do.
It's just like, I'm gonna forget.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna remember. It's you say information once, and that's all. It's gonna be forgotten. But I hear it once, I write it down, and at a later point I read it again. That's 3 points of contact.
Yeah.
Much more likely to stick around the next session when it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would agree. Ideally discuss how and when pushes will be done prior to play. Yeah, it can be a tone thing. Like if the tone is of an action movie, then it does make sense for, crazy nonsense to be happening. Anytime there's a slow scene that's like dragging on for 30 seconds too long, boom, so big explosion. But
that's one thing I argue with people a lot in the Discord, which is that I only really do pushes if it's a pre-established fact of the universe, right?
Yeah.
I think a very good example of this is I did it on PC where it was like in an asylum, and I established like lots of different things before the party even did anything, right? Then there is a moment where I very clearly introduce a push because the game was getting stale, but all of the pushes that I introduced were all based on information that the players already had, right? Because otherwise, there's 200 orcs behind the door, man. Right? There's 200 orcs come in and let's have a 200 orc fight. And, you killed the 200 orcs when you're still sitting in the dungeon? Okay, 3 manticores show up from the lower level of the dungeon. It doesn't make any sense.
You're right. It can run the risk of feeling like the random roaming monsters in a lot of the OSR dungeons where you're like, well, hang on, why would that be here, right? And
yeah, that is your random encounter table. Oh, let's just roll on the table, and it's okay. Within 3 hours, you fight some kobolds and then some goblins, and then, well, the wyvern shows up because the luck of the die, I guess.
And you could definitely...
That's the mystical underworld, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could definitely...
The spirit of a role-playing game.
The spirit of roleplay passed. I
was there when Odysseus fought 1d6 manticores.
Oh my god, dude.
I mean, they're fun stories because they are so wild, so they stick out.
Yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable because, well, what is nobody had their, handy cams that, only have 90 minutes of footage, recording these games. So it's all unfalsifiable. It's like, okay, man, well, if you could do it 30 years ago, surely you can do it today, right?
Hercules fought 2d4 minus 1 Nemean lions. You have to take that back.
I want to let Nicholas talk more. I feel like you tried to jump in a few times. We just talked over you.
I got dragged away by the current. I don't wanna bring back topics. It's fine. I was just gonna add a thing or two. It's fine.
Add your thing or two.
Yeah, do it.
Do you really want to trudge back like 3 topics though?
Absolutely. I mean, you asked about the role play part of Pathfinder. How we like the role plays.
No, that was the kickstart for the conversation.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not really.
I was about to actually mention about the theater of the mind aspect when you're talking about using greed and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main things that I see, the main pushback I see, is people focusing too much on minor details that do not matter, such as Zolar, you were there, you can help me. On that Reddit thread, someone was like,
"Oh yeah,
it doesn't make sense to asking in question, like, for example, if I want to know what color is the door, but like, what scenario the color of the door is so important that we need to set a new paradigm for the role play about color door colors? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, or like, what if I want to go to the bathroom? It's always like super specific scenarios that, for you to get there in the first place, the session is already about that. So we already discussed that in session 0 anyway. If colors are so important in this world, you know what I mean?
It's ridiculous. So one of the oldest videos I had on my channel, and I want to take those old terrible videos down and like redo them with, now that 4D is a thing, and now that I have a much better comparatively production setup, is a overview of one of the Powered by the Apocalypse designers' blogs, where the too long didn't read of this blog post is, if you give your players, and the premise is ridiculous, if you give your players a magic item that allows you to teleport from blue colored walls to other blue colored walls, well, now you have to know the color of every wall in your game.
Yeah.
And I was like, what kind of absurd situation are we in, though? Have you given somebody a magic item like this? What? And it wasn't like it was even beyond that, because it was like, no, you can teleport to like colored walls. So they're having a table of, this wall is orange and this numbers. Wall is, and you're like, what are we talking about here, man? Like, no, just why not just?
I feel like I have the same problem with when running D&D, but instead of a blue wall, it's now everyone, like, you reach level 9 or whatever, and you have the teleport spell available to the group now. Okay, now I need to know the whole world that the players could teleport to, every location they've been, what happened since the last time they've been there. And I'm basically multiplying all the factions in my head that I need to update of what's going on, because the players might find like a fit of fancy. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna show up there and see how Grandma's doing,
So there's a couple of solutions that I've had to this. It's one of the few times where I think balance actually does kind of matter, because this isn't balance on, like, one-on-one combat. This is balance on you're breaking the way the world is working. Like, this is a world that doesn't make sense all of a sudden.
It changes all the implications of the world.
So I actually
is the villain not using teleport all the time,
Right. And as you saw in the last Dragon's Demand session, they are, right? So there are 2 ways to handle it, I think, and you can use both of them. It's one of the few changes I like about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, where they go, it's just shorter range. You can't just teleport to, like, anywhere on the planet. No, it's got a limited range, which is still quite big, But if you want to travel big distances, there's actually a reason for ritual magic for having teleport gates and the like set up that can do that for longer distances. Also, there are mishaps where you're trying to teleport to a place you've been before. Okay, you can do that, but it's harder the farther away you are. You might end up inside a physical object at some point, and to an extent, I think that can kill you instantly. Now, knowing that a teleport can go wrong and just vaporize you the instant you end up, would you do it as often as a lot of people do the moment they hit level 9? Probably not. No.
And those help with implications like, oh well, a merchant happens to have his wizard buddy helping out with his trade. So he's like doing the math of, teleport me and all of my good shit to this other city so I can sell all of these goods. Like combined with a whatever portable hole or a bag of holding and whatever. Which is, hey, like all the players that I play with, they love that shit. Like the first item they want, they beg me, give me the portable hole, give me the bag of holding. They want it so.
Well, and doesn't that create such an interesting thing about the world, right? This magic item that is, you can make it, but it's very difficult to make. Only, a small percentage of the population is capable of making it. And the demand for it is massive. And it's one of the things where I think
it's so popular for players, but it would be popular for everybody.
I wish there was just like a brief section on, this is going to be the most autistic thing I say all session, market liquidity, where, right, yes, this is the fixed item in the book, right? But if your players just play it logically, you don't need like a table or a formula or anything, but like, if there is like a highly mercantile, trading society, you're not going to be able to find bags of holding. They're all going to be sold out constantly. That they're going to be trying. Those are all going to be on back order. Great dude, get in line.
It's literally
I can do a rush order on it if you pay me double what it's worth.
You know what it is? It is those Pokemon card collectors that only collect bag of holdings that just buy out all the bag of holdings in the world.
Yeah, exactly. What people would expect is like, oh, well, I'm in the big city. It should be easy to find this because that's where all the stock is. No, that's also where all the people buying it are too. You want Pokemon cards, you have to go to the town in the middle of nowhere where it's a bunch of, hicks that are like, Pokemans? I don't know what that is, or I know what it is, and why do I care?
I see Philippe walks around with a fake mustache on, walks into the shop and asks, well, have you happened to have any bag of holdings around?
Shiny bag of holdings.
And that's another thing nobody ever plays, right? Is that is modeled in Pathfinder and a lot of these other games, which is like, this is a town of 300 people. Most of these magic items is like the total GDP of the town. No, they don't have that here. That you're going to have to travel.
Like the way I played it, if you're going to like a big town like the capital, like the Merchants Guild is not gonna be happy with you coming in and like messing stuff. Like they're not gonna send a hitman after you, man. Like you're not living in town.
That's one of the other things I do with
that
teleport.
Is an interesting thing.
Imagine how highly regulated teleport would be. Right? You think you just poof into a town, the guards aren't going to immediately go, what the hell are you doing here? Also, do you have any idea how dangerous what you just did? What you could have just like vaporized a random passerby. Yeah, you're coming in for questioning. Like that never happens.
The mechanic is the setting. It's an incontrovertible truth that the moment you gain power, you also gain more hit points in the setting, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really play using these mechanics. You can't really play the squishy wizard because that's not how it works.
No,
like a senile, like 100-year-old man, level 17, can take like several dozen like tiger bites to the face. That just is how the world works somehow.
It's the mechanics need to uphold the verisimilitude of the world. And if the mechanics don't, then you got like a big problem at every table out there. that is
And
trying to
again-
justify why having a short rest is gonna recover like this massive gash across your chest. Oh yeah, I regained 24 hit points this session, so the fight with the saber-toothed tiger was totally shrugged
Thankfully,
off.
Pathfinder doesn't have that problem. Thankfully.
Yes, it doesn't have the health float problem, and yeah, so one of the things with Pathfinder that nobody plays it this way is that they explicitly tell you, and this is, I believe, in the core rulebook, that hit points are not you suddenly can survive 83 stab wounds. They are an abstraction of losing energy, of losing position, of being, forced back into a corner, scrambling, of, it's, how does it fix HP bloat? Well, it also has damage bloat. and it's not really,
you have 100 HP, but you take 30 damage on a hit.
Yeah. So it becomes, a level 7 fighter is way more competent and knows how to either, and it depends on how you role play it, knows on how to twist so that they're superficial wounds, or how to cover with the best parts of his armor, how to use his weapon to defend himself against the level 1 peasant that's just, trying to randomly swing at him, that only does, a D4 damage +1 with his dagger. Whereas this guy is, he's cleaving people's heads apart with his greatsword because he's trained with it. He knows how to swing it now.
One of the things I like in games like Pathfinder, so for me this includes D&D 5e, the characters are not the only ones that can gain feats. Why not have the Kobold tribe, and they have a specialization with a weapon focus, or they really are good at tripping the enemy because of the small stature, which could gain an extra level of mechanics that makes the game interesting, so that these tribe of kobolds have a different advantage to the other tribe you fought 3 sessions ago.
This is precisely why I defend Pathfinder so hard.
Yeah.
Because people are throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Exactly.
Because there is a lot of bloat, but you have no idea. What you just said is incredible. Because you homebrew a monster in Pathfinder. The game designers, they bend backwards to give you as much support to make a monster as they can. Right? Yeah. You don't need to invent things out of nowhere. Let's say that I want to make like a rhino creature that tramples people. There are rules for trampling, right? Yep. And those rules for trampling are modular. When the mammoth tramples you, it's the same thing that when another creature tramples you. So if I want to make my creature have a trample special feature, I just need to port over the trampling rules. And this is for everything in Pathfinder. We have so much support.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes the mechanics so much easier to juggle than many other systems. Once you learn the one thing, it applies to them all. Every time you see grappling again in the future, whether it's a guy trying to tie up with you, get into a clinch, start shivving you, whether it's a slime that's adhered to you and is trying to pull you in, whether it's a bear that has you in its jaws, it's all the same grapple rules, right? You're not having to learn a suddenly new mechanic where the bear has a special ability and it's got a paragraph of text where you're going, is this okay? The mechanics are different, but is it really functionally different than, did we need this other mechanic, right? Or is this just here to fill pages?
There's a difficulty with this that I'm gonna push back with to see where we can go with this. Mm-hmm. Which, the big problem with 5e that I ran into often is, you see an enemy, but you don't know how powerful he is, because the numbers could be whatever the fuck the game master came up with, or could be a homebrew thing, could be an adventure path thing, or that's not part of the monster manual. So you think, it should be a weak enemy, but it turns out it's a challenge rating 12 or whatever. And I can see that being the same issue with Pathfinder, just like the example with the kobolds. Oh yeah, but this kobold is a level 4 kobold who has 3 different feats that gives in a very specific edge in a fight. And can you look at a kobold and tell them apart of a level 1 kobold with 5 hit points and one with 20 hit points? that's super powerful or not?
So,
And how do you translate that to the players?
So I have two answers. My first answer is I don't really see that as an issue. You know, if you didn't know me, would you look at me and say that guy knows how to swing a sword?
It's like he knows kung fu.
Yeah.
Like,
would you look at me and say like that guy looks at it like he knows what he's doing? Like, no, not really. I mean, most people. You know,
I was gonna say the same thing, and humans know this because we have like concealed warriors in every culture. We have like the ninja. Which the ninjas did not dress like in all black; they just dressed like normal people,
like farmers.
Clothing, they only dress in all black for theater play because it's a theater.
Well, and you know, it's I'm not trying to mog here, but you know, me and Max mentioned it the other day. When I'm in sleeves, yeah, I look like a regular old skinny nerd white dude. But when I take my sleeves off, I mean, you should be able to tell I have some muscle striation here. You know, it's so so there's one part where it's like, well, that's just kind of how it is. You know, you never know in the real world who's a competent fighter, who's not. Now, on the flip side of this, we have a mechanic in Pathfinder, which is effectively combat skill. How good are you at fighting? Base attack bonus. I wish it had a different name. I think it should just be called fighting skill. It should, because that's effectively what it is. It's just a skill like the others, but you don't put skill points in it.
The martial skill.
Yeah. And so what I've, somebody tries to look up a character, sort of size them up, get, by how they stand, how they walk, is their hand always on their sword, ready to draw it? They're sort of standing passively in their foot stance is broadened so that they're ready to, take action at a moment's notice. I would let somebody roll a base attack bonus, roll to see, like, gauge how good are they at fighting, and that makes it to where other good fighters can point out other good fighters.
So, I'll be honest on Alar. I think that this might be an issue where Pathfinder might be worse than 5e because, it depends on what you consider to be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there can be an issue where if a creature is way too high level above you, then it is basically nearly impossible to hit it because the AC is going to be skilled to that level, right?
I think we can make it very easy comparison to our game. The last session, the dragon showed up, and our characters, they were shaking in their boots. And my character is specifically trying to convince Philippe that to not give up fighting and figure out the plan, because any monster, anything that's alive can be defeated. But how do we tell how powerful the dragon is? We cannot read levels, and we shouldn't read levels. We cannot read hit points.
Well,
so according to the rules, you can roll to figure out how many hit dice it has.
Right. So what mechanics can be used to like, okay, it's both a monster, but it's also intelligent with its own individuality.
Yeah.
So it can also learn like stuff like fates and training skills and the art of war and magical spells on top of that.
I don't think that's a mechanics
was
problem.
Yeah,
it's all roleplay. Like the dragon, like it's bigger than the whole manor. It can speak. It teleported.
Yes.
Like
it's scarred.
You have to be
it's
stupid, not say a harsher word.
And I tried to see if it's a young dragon and an adult dragon. So I'm using system language, but it works within the world.
Doesn't
I was
matter.
about to say, I don't think young adult.
You find a Komodo dragon that is larger than you on your house. I want to see if it's shooting from Tile 1. Like,
but I don't know. I don't know what Tyler 1 is. What Tyler is describing to me. I need to put the dragon into the context of my character has some background knowledge on dragons because it's a big deal around dwarves. Yeah. I think like his dwarves specifically. I'm not sure if he delved into that backstory, but it's like okay. Yeah, go ahead.
There was one thing I wanted to specify here because I think it's important to bring up in this, right? The dragon scene was very much roleplay.
Yes, absolutely.
My character was very scared of the dragon, right? Out of character, I don't think it's an ancient green dragon. I think knowing green dragons, like it's sort of like an illusion, right? But that's not going to change how I play my character, because my character is there in reality, right? He is
Yeah.
the ground zero for the what I believe out of character to be a deception. So I'm not going to like metagame that, you know, like my character is scared to death.
Absolutely.
So that is just all roleplay. That is a very interesting question, though, because how do you translate? How can you tell how powerful this dragon is? I mean, we've heard tales about like ancient dragons, and funnily enough, I think that this is where some out of character knowledge helps, because we out of character have also heard tales about like ancient powerful enemies in Pathfinder, so you can like it's almost like comparable the two, you know?
Yeah,
But,
and it's something with the module too. You know, you're playing the Dragon's Demand, so
Yeah,
you know,
we cannot not know.
right.
And it's a fool's errand for a game master to say, "Hey, show up for my adventure path," but I won't tell you which. I
I'm
want
not
to
going to
keep
tell you
the
what it is, right?
like you're not gonna keep the surprise. Come on, like
No.
don't try.
And of course, you could do things like heavily modifying it to
Yeah.
where like somebody, but you know, you're not going to modify the core thing about the module, right? And just as I think,
Exactly.
like, unless you're doing the ultimate no prep challenge, unless you're doing that, I mean, you're having a session 0. You're talking about what the game's going to be about to some extent. So
Even in our Lich's Drags, I put in a Hydra because I wanted the world to feel wild and alive. And an incredibly dangerous enemy lurks here. And I used the Hydra as a push since we talked about pushes, like at some point the Hydra is gonna move past nearby the players because that's awesome. That's fucking awesome. And it gives like a reason to adventure as well.
right.
For the players. They can choose to interact with it or they can drop it. But it was never balanced. It was never supposed to be balanced.
Right. It's just, and the other thing, when this shows up as a problem is when it's not role played, right? What do I mean by this? So, do the best MMA fighters go around just beating people up on the street randomly? No, because eventually a lot of non-competent. Well, okay, let's look at when they do. Let's look at John Jones. What happens to John Jones? He's in and out of prison all the time because eventually enough people go, dude, we're tired of this. And yes, you may be very skilled. You may be a big, scary dragon, but there's 500 of us. You're not going to get through all of us.
He can't roast all of us.
Yes, exactly. Eventually, you know, so even a very powerful, you know, just taking on the face value of this thing, this ancient dragon knows I can probably take this little village and they're pretty cut off from contact. They won't put up too bad of a fight, so he thinks. But I can't just go around doing this all the time, and I'm not going to go to the nuclear option immediately, because then you'll build a reputation of, dude, did you hear this town nearby just vaporized, just cut off the bit? Oh, there must be a dragon about. Now people start looking.
They start organizing the Dutches,
Yeah.
talk to each other. They start communicating and forming
Right.
militia
So-
to train the people.
If you are the
Knock-on effects.
combination of very powerful and intelligent, you know, capable of long-term planning, you go, well, I want these things, and maybe I am willing to do whatever it takes to get them, but I'm also not stupid, right? That's the thing, you know. It's you know, stupid, impulsive people and creatures, they don't live very long, right? They, you know, even rats that randomly fight and bite all of their compatriots, they get ostracized, they get pushed out, they don't get to be in society anymore. You know, they get shoved out of the way whenever food is found, and eventually they starve to death or they get in line, right? So I think this is just it's a nerd problem. It's a nerds do not understand social hierarchy, or
it's endemic to this hobby. It is endemic to this hobby because for some reason people think that things just roll initiative and fight to the death whenever they encounter one another.
Yep.
When it's so much more complicated than that. Like
yeah.
A lot of combat is how you have posture on the battlefield. Like, can you imagine like a scared little like militiaman coming with a spear, like trying to keep himself safe and like looking around, versus like an elite soldier, just pure posture, walking, perfect formation, shield ahead of him, outstretched shoulders, you know, confident. Like that changes so much how like animals face one another, right? I like the story that back in the day, people used to aim high because they didn't want to hurt one another, because it's against our natural animal instinct to hurt another one of our species.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's so much of that, so much richness waiting for the role play there. Like
You see
playing
in
a very
also-
professional soldier, right?
Yeah, I mean,
But
you
no-
see in the
Also,
yeah.
I don't want to move past this. I love the idea of John Jones or whatever just being like locked up for 4 counts of grinding XP outside the 7-Eleven. He's farming the tweaker enemies.
Yeah, it's 50
Fresh mob.
experience, 50 experience per tweaker, you know.
And it's easy; they can't fight back. It's
But,
Why
like
isn't
on the thing
everything
of
easy?
like role playing fighting, something that irks me the wrong way as well is, I guess that's more on the systems that do combat than role play, but people don't take into account that even if you win a combat, do you really want to leave like missing an eye and with like an open wound that can infect? Like if you cannot have immediate care. So like even if I can fight and kill this wild boar, but do you want to get hurt in the process? You know what I mean? It's like even animals don't fight to the death. Like they start struggling and this guy's stronger than me, I'm leaving. You know, like creatures avoid getting hurt, you know.
Yeah. And you know, it's like
they might just
like
they might just fight to escape as well.
that too. Yeah. Like Elfhunter said here, I think the best fighting move is a simple tackle. Do you know what every single culture has on the planet, and even most animals? It's a wrestling art. Most cultures have not developed a unique individual striking art because these are pretty fragile and not great at striking unless you glove them up or you have like the Eastern culture of hardening your hands over a very, very long period of time.
Conditioning also means like you have to keep doing it.
Right.
Otherwise your hands get soft again.
Right. There's an element of that too. And what does every culture have though? A wrestling system. Why? Because if you can hold somebody, you can prevent them from reaching for a weapon. You can prevent them from punching you. If they're on the ground, they can't really generate. Yeah, you can punch from your back, but you can't generate much power from it. You can be annoying at most. If you can hold an animal really close to you, it can't bite you, right? So does it win you the fight? Well, it doesn't kill the other guy, but that's not what the question is. The question is, does it win you the fight? And this is where people get frustrated in like MMA, where it's like, they're just hugging each other. They're just sitting there. It's like, yes, because it's a very, very effective way to not take damage, right? Like,
Dragon Ball light to me, man.
yeah. Well, you know, the biggest, and you know, that's a thing, you know, Goku wants good fights. He wants a compelling, you know, fight with somebody else. And that is a different motivation than what is the first thing the ref says at the beginning of every MMA fight? Every fight in general. Protect yourself at all times. It's not kill the other guy. That's secondary or tertiary in there, right? Hey Uriah, how's it going?
And this is how most role-playing games usually are. Like, here's how you do 7,000 damage per round and fucking level 3. And it's so awful.
It's not the rule books that advertise it. It's all the GMs and all the YouTubers like they, you know, the back alley giving you the cheat sheet on how to combine 7 feats to become ultra powerful.
If I take, if my stack of splat books is this high and one of them's third party, then I can, it's like, okay, what are we?
It's like Kung Fu Panda. They want like the magical dragon scroll from the ceiling that has like, the ultimate combination to beat Pathfinder with. And when they open it up, it just says, just roleplay. They're like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
You know?
I was trying to remember what it was because it was a Swiss battle in 1476, the Battle of Granson, and it was a force 20,000 strong versus a force 18,000 strong, and there were minimal casualties. And you're thinking, hang on, how does that work? You have 40,000 people fighting each other, and there's like maybe a couple dozen people die. What? Well, it turns out when you have some Swiss people and some German people that are effectively the same people. You know, they're from 10 miles apart. There's not a huge difference, and they get in close, and you're face to face with somebody with a spear. You kind of don't want to stab them. You would kind of prefer to stay out of the spear's reach so that you also don't get stabbed. So there's, like Conway said, there's a lot of posturing and going, don't come over here. I'm not going to let you pass this line. Really hope that you don't get the bravery to come over here and pass this line. And most people don't. They stand there and posture. So, yeah.
This is surprisingly common, actually, in most of human warfare.
Yeah,
human quote-unquote warfare is just
Yep.
a higher degree of tribal posturing for you to defend like your little piece of land.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. The Greeks, so the Greeks used to have massive battles every winter, I think it was, where like each city-state would march their armies out.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
thousands of guys in full like phalanx formation, and they would duke out in these massive battles, and then like 5 guys would die, and they would all march back home because it was just posturing. That's what it was. Because the Greeks had like these massive pikes. Like you keep those guys like really far away, and you shout really loud. You know, and then when night comes, you just march back to your camp. Like, yeah, we won that battle. And like everyone wins.
I think a lot of people don't realize how big a pike is too. It's not the same thing as a spear. They're like 20 foot long, and pretty much every culture has one of these. The Japanese have the huge, long yari spears that they're so long that even if you make them out of oak, they are flexible. They will like swing back and forth. And if you look at the manuscripts, they're really funny because you'll have the spear treatises which fit on one page. You flip the page and there's another. The pike treatises, the pike keeps going and then it keeps getting drawn onto the second page, and it's just, and you're like, hold on, what's going
in a Macedonian phalanx, you're like if you are at the front, there are 5 other guys behind you with pikes going past you. That's how long these things are.
Yeah, it's you can be 3 or 4 men deep and still be presenting a threat past them. And again, if you're sane, you're probably just not. They especially had this issue with horses where, I want to charge them on horseback. Well, the horse is going, no, I'm not going to go after. What are you, crazy? Like, that guy's got a sharp object. I don't want to go towards that.
The amount of training you need to do on a horse for it to not be scared of charging into like a group of people is insane. It's a technology. You have to think of a horse not as a horse, but as a fighter jet. Like, do you really want to charge a fighter jet into death, right?
Yeah.
These knights had to have like 5 to 6 horses with them in one campaign. It's insane. Well, you really go through them.
There was an aspect of honor, and there was also the aspect of logic, right? Where you don't want to kill all of the opposing side, because again, what happens? You get a reputation like the Ottomans or the Moors got, where these people are violent and cruel to the places they conquer. We're going to fight even harder against them because we don't want to be ruled by those people.
Yeah, now your opposition has a reason to fight, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have a reason not to back down anymore.
Yeah.
Which means, oh shit, I can't, start skirmish and then leave healthy. It's like, I need to fight for my life.
Yeah. Because the Ottomans were one of the big early adopters of guns, and it's a lot harder to take somebody prisoner if you shoot him with a gun with medieval medical. Just like today, casualties in modern war, they got the highest in World War I and World War II, but today they are still insanely high compared to, wars of centuries past, because it's really hard to take somebody prisoner. World War II British soldiers were complaining about the ban of the flamethrower, interestingly, because they were saying, you don't have to have the jet turned on. You can just spray a bunch of people down with gasoline, and then they get the hint. They go, I'll surrender now. You can't really do that with a gun. You point a gun at somebody and maybe they surrender, but for some reason there's the psychology of like, it's a lot of people are not as afraid of guns naturally, unless they've grown up around like a lot of, hunting of like, no, you never point that at somebody. Long pointy stick is more, and any cop will tell you this, it's it's a lot harder to train somebody to not be afraid of a knife than it is to train somebody to not be afraid of a gun pointed at them. It's very weird. Logically,
Yeah,
of
it's
course, it
insane.
shouldn't be, but
I love this conversation. It's so interesting, like to roleplay, right? This type of thing.
Yeah.
But I do want to go to Pathfinder real quick
also true.
because I think that if I were to run a Pathfinder game, I probably would do it in the Epic 6 style because most of the game breaking math it really is like level 7 onwards. I think that if you limit your players from like level 1 to 6 or like even 3 to 6, the numbers would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, you know, and I think the numbers on like the flat numbers aren't even necessarily the problem. It's when you get things like monk flurry of blows, hasted, and plus this, and you're like, oh, okay, so at level 19 you are rolling 7 d20s in a round. This is a problem. There's not a quick way to resolve that. You know?
It very much is like exponential problems. Each one of them on their own isn't a big hill, but you
Right.
combine 7 of them at the same time. Now it's a wall that you can't jump over as easily.
And you know,
I think I'm more worried about the spells because dimension door
Yeah.
is fine, but like teleport, that's already like a bit crazy, you know.
And again, that's why I say, like, you know, and if you wanted to get into Pathfinder, like I said, I have the homebrew document that I make. We don't use it. And you know, you mentioned initiative, and I want to save that for its own short form video because I think it is very telling that in this, we're just going to run Pathfinder First Edition. We're not going to touch it. We're going to give it the old college try. Except for initiative. Initiative lasted 1 session, and we all collectively went, this is an awful mechanic. It's not an awful Pathfinder mechanic. It's just a bad mechanic.
It's bad.
You don't need it. You know, you're already in turn order, right?
I can
biggest
see
problem
fringe.
with oh, you go first.
I can see fringe situations where a initiative mechanic could work, like a quick draw situation.
Yeah.
But that's the only one. Most of the time, you can really tell what would be the most logical outcome.
Yeah.
I think the most telling situation for initiative was when I would, in my Lich's Drax game, since Conway and both Nicholas were playing in that game, when they attacked the barbarian village and I have dozens of people that could be combatants enter the game, I might use initiative there, and the other one is fighting the Hydra. I might use initiative there. Did I even use initiative on the Hydra? I don't think so. I think I just let you guys all do your thing, and then the Hydra reacts.
Yeah.
But that's
the
like
biggest problem with initiative is that it's a bit of a janky mechanic, and it comes exactly when you most need to be quick. Because people draw swords and they get ready to charge one another. It's tense. Everyone's about to get dangerous fight. Oh, hang on, guys. You need to do.
We need to do
what's your number?
Real quick. Yeah.
What's your number, Nicholas? 14. Okay. The NPC also got a 14. What's your dex for a tiebreaker? Oh, okay. So
because
tiebreaker.
I just recently
it can take a group 2 minutes to
it's
put
the
like
same dex.
numbers.
Now we have to roll off.
It's like I watched this example with the barbarians, like rewatched it to show it to one of the members on Discord who wishes to stay anonymous, because he thought, wait, how can you give up on initiative? It's part of the rules. No, it's like, well, let me show you.
Right. Yeah.
They approached the village. They killed one guy that was having a leak outside, like in the fog, and then you set a building on fire. And as people started running with buckets, the first kid with a bucket, you brutally murdered. And then the men started organizing that they are under attack. So I'm just taking turns. Like, all the players take a turn, I take a turn. All the players take a turn, I take a turn. We are already having initiative here. We don't need to stop the game again to restructure the flow of the combat.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't need to have 12 fighters round 1 all attack you because initiative is rolled. I get to let combat roll naturally.
And that's how people do initiative. It's like the computer start simulation. Like they beam everyone down. Like, oh, you go here, you go here, you go here. Like they set up like a battle. Initiative is a ritual to start wargaming. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I hate initiative so much.
Yeah, and you can see like people that were doing some role playing, the moment initiative is rolled, they're not role playing anymore.
Yeah,
They're gaming, right? It's a mode switch, and some
Yes.
games even codify that. They even say like, "Oh, we have a combat mode," and then this mode, and you're like, "Oh no, you don't want to do that." You know, when you do that, that's when people get up to go take a bathroom break, to go get snacks. Where they're
even
like,
saying those 3 magical words is like MK Ultra programming. Roll
Yeah.
for initiative.
well,
Yeah.
you know, and it was something that was interesting that they were the last video review I did with the Just Roll With It guys, where they were playing that old AD&D module, and you know, it was played for laughs, and they had like, and he's like, yeah, there's 18 baboons, and he goes, like, do you think I should roll initiative separately for 18 baboons? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? And they're literally going through, speeding up the footage of how ridiculous it is to do that.
When we watched the Pathfinder 2 games, and they roll initiative, and it's a hard cut of 20 minutes later, people like bags under their eyes, like holding their heads, smoking a cigarette, you know? It's the whole thing.
Yeah. You know,
we thought it's on me, but then it happened like during the video.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop laughing.
It's
so
so
hilarious.
funny. And those guys were very very gracious about it, because we were like, no,
True.
there was role playing that was happening here until the damn game got in the way. And Uncle Duke, you're right. There is a way. Initiative is just a way of taking turns. What screws it up is how it's run at the table. How I make it work is it's just passive. You know, you just have 10 plus whatever your initiative is, and that's the order you go in, you know? And so it never has to get called upon. It's just, this character is naturally faster than the other characters.
And
why do we need a roll for it in case he slips on a banana peel and he's slower right now? Like, I don't need that kind of granularity or randomization in my life. Like, you know.
The games,
and you can also just make the people sit based on initiative order, right? So they can
I have your guys' cameras moved in clockwise order for that exact purpose.
That like in the 5e game, I had like you guys role played in your own order. So I just remembered that's like, oh, he acted first, and he did, and he did, and then he did, and I upheld it until all the enemies were dead or fleeing. And it wasn't too hard, you know. If your group is 4 players, it's not too hard.
Right, as a smaller groups definitely helps. And Uncle Duke, I basically just change it to once per the session. You know, it's just, you know, and that could be a way to add some granularity to, like, I guess you could role play it as like a sluggishness kind of thing, because some days you are off, you know, you're not all there. So like, roll at the beginning of the session to see what your initiative is, just like for the, you know, that moment, like. And that
how do you feel?
Interesting.
How do you feel about players? And I mean, it's not at 4D tables, but previously, players at my table said, "Oh, can I just wait and let somebody else go first?"
Well, you know, some games.
Is that even a thing in Pathfinder itself? Or
you can hold your initiative, so you can lower your initiative to act later. So, when it's done in character, I think it can be be done well, where, you know, you're setting up a pike block, you know, and you're bracing your as Uncle Duke says, held action, you know, you're bracing your spear because the guy is too far away. You don't want to charge out of cover, so you're just waiting for him to come past, and as soon as he comes past, you're gonna stick him with your spear. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that, as long as that's, you know, how it's role played, right? But how it often gets role played is, well, GM, if that guy comes past here, then I'm gonna stab him. But if he doesn't, then I'll do. And it's like, hang on, wait, don't give me a decision tree here, man. Like,
it's a whole code, you know. They're writing code on how they would do the combat, and whatever. And I feel like, okay, roll an intelligence check. You guys too stupid. It's like he's getting caught up in the moment and charges forward. Like,
Yep.
It's what Shauner called. Why don't you just take a return through the mail? Like send your
Yeah.
mail like with all the if statements. There we go. You don't even need to show up to the session. It's so efficient.
Or even if you're like doing some gamey stuff, like the wizard goes after me in initiative, but I know he casts haste on. Well, your character knows that too. So hold on, wizard, assist me first, and then you wait for the wizard to go first, then take his turn after. Yeah, why not? So when you have the initiative order thing, it just creates these weird circumstances where it's like, I was gonna let the wizard go first anyways, right? Just as in the modern day, I'm going to wait for artillery to screen first before I charge in. I'm not going to charge in first, then artillery shells us while we're in the trench too. It doesn't make any sense. So, yeah.
To me, it's very much the juice is not worth the squeeze.
Right.
When it comes to a lot of granularity in games for what I'm trying to achieve, as close as they may be.
And exactly what Elf Hunter said is, you can just do held actions even if it's not codified in the game. Like waiting until something happens is not a game mechanic.
it's just, hey, I brace myself for the enemy charge, readying my spear, because we know what that means. Okay, the enemy arrives. Well, what does he have? A sword. What do you have? A spear. Well, guess what? Take your jab.
Yeah. And this segues into the really, really autistic delay action thing that Pathfinder has. And Pathfinder does not actually have a ready action. It's called delay action, and it changes initiative order. It's so bad.
Why? Isn't that like also just giving the GM a chance to control your character? Because if you say, "I wait for the door to open," then the GM just says, okay, then he opens the door next.
Yeah, it's a prompt to re-narrate. Even though the game isn't explicitly saying that, you're totally right. It is a prompt to...
it would not happen in our games, of course, but like you said, I think it incentivizes people to do that, unless you write down, do not let the player describe his reaction,
Yeah, and to piss off the Redditors, I've never played Pathfinder with the actual way because you'll be somewhat familiar with it. It works kind of like Shadowrun does, where say the wizard has an initiative of 13 and you're the fighter and you have an initiative of 18 and you want to wait for the wizard to cast haste. Well, now your initiative is permanently 12. So now you have to keep track of that because it means the wizard now goes before you again. So he'll get 2 turns in the time that you got 1 turn, and you're going, oh no, this is stupid. Like what? this does not make.
Generally, initiative systems and all the rules I've seen interact with it have always been clunky and useless for role playing. Like almost all of them. And I want to tie it, since we are playing Pathfinder, some people think, well, if you're not using like a big part of the game, like initiative, I mean, every combat uses it, are you even playing Pathfinder? What do you have to say? Like, I'm not talking like that's a Redditor saying, but people believe that, it's people say, well, did you even roleplay D&D 5e if you didn't use initiative? Since it's a big part of the game.
Kid.
Yeah.
I mean... That's just them being dismissive of what I'm doing.
But nobody really talks like this in any other circle, right? If you play, I played Skyrim, but I didn't play through this DLC. Oh, did you really play it? No, like nobody talks.
They do.
Like that.
They do it in Dark.
I played Skyrim, but I used these couple of mods. Well, the game is still Skyrim, right? Nobody looks at and can you mod Skyrim to where it looks like Grand Theft Auto and it's all set in the modern day? You can do that. Yeah. Your mod list is not a dozen or so mods. It's hundreds of mods long, and you have to download more mods so that you can allow the engine to handle those mods. You bringing up Shauner on that. But nobody would say, yeah, you did right. If you didn't Stealth Archer, did you really play Skyrim? Right. That's obviously you order rum and Coke but you don't get a
Yes.
lime with it. Is it really a rum and coke? Yes, because it has the 2 ingredients in the name.
In a weird like twist of fate, this is the actual elitism of holding out people that you're not in the club because you didn't play Pathfinder the hard way, or you didn't play advanced D&D back when it was cool, or you didn't play the old modules when you could like save or die immediately. It's like, well,
Tyler,
all of
how dare you change Pathfinder? You only played it for 20 years. You don't know what you're talking about, man.
And
quite literally,
despite the fact that our own Jason Bullman is modifying his own game to make it a modern setting. Well, is he really playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition? He's the designer. I think he can tell you whether or not he's really play. And
also,
if you look at their actual play, they're calling for rolls about as often as we are in ours. The literal designers of the game are not calling for rolls nonstop. Now, do I have a ton of other issues with the way they play the game? Yes, but just on the mechanic side, there's nothing in the Pathfinder Cool Rulebook that says call for a roll every 1 minute. If you're not rolling every minute, then you're playing the game wrong. It doesn't say this anywhere in the book.
Also, obligatory. Where's your game, bro?
That too.
If you come here to criticize the way we play Pathfinder, where's your game?
Yeah,
because
bet show us how you do it, right?
Yeah, that if you're playing Pathfinder and you post a video of you doing it online and it becomes concrete instead of being this abstract notion that you have in your head, it's going to be completely different.
Yeah,
and I can tell this because I played Pathfinder for a long time.
Yeah,
and some of the combats we had were some of the most like complex mechanically, because a lot of Pathfinder tables are just like roll-offs to see who gets the most damage first. But we had like the cool bear fight with the blinding and like fighting retreat.
Yeah,
we had the interesting kobold combat encounter as well.
Yeah,
yes.
Even the first fight with the centipedes had like grappling and stuff like that. You know, we use a lot of complex rules that some tables don't. Right? Some people will never do grappling.
Yeah. Some people have explicitly banned it because they're it's just too complicated. You have this crazy flowchart, but grappling has showed up several times in the game now, and like other than Nicholas Zonalar, do you even know what the flowchart looks like? The forbidden.
No.
Oh, but we could still use the mechanics. Isn't that crazy? Crazy? Yeah, we can.
I'm in this like middle point of I want to understand the rules a bit better to help the game master to not control everything.
Yeah,
but also the game is just so dense that I'm gonna show up for game night, and we've had multiple canceled sessions, so I'm not reading up on the rules until we get the rhythm in again, so that I can actually prepare for it.
Right, because
I trust on you. Like, okay, I act, and you tell me what this means as a roll. Okay, roll your wrestling skill or something like that.
Call for a
and that's and I can look that one up on my character sheet. I can do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd rather there be a good reason for that ganging up on though, as opposed to random initiative rolls. And for example, stealth already has that for you. The troop mechanics already have that for you. There are other better ways to adjudicate that scenario than, I don't know, the D20 said he was lucky today. Right. And I think that's part of the problem with initiative in particular in Pathfinder, is that it's never a number that gets very large because it's derived from your dex bonus, which means a lot of it is just the luck die, right? Compared to the rest of the things where when you're low level, you're more at the behest of luck. You're more at the, stupid tripping and stuff happens when you're less and less skilled. But as you get more and more skilled, you should be less beholden to, I know my hands are going to get slippery when I stab the guy. I have a firm grasp of it. I know how to hold my weapon. I know, all the little minutia start to matter less and less as you're getting more and more skilled.
I kind of want to try the true D10 Pathfinder, like D12 plus D8 or something. It'd be super interesting.
Yeah, because you can absolutely, for those that that aren't familiar, you can change. You can basically keep all of the mechanics the same in a D20 system and just change the randomization curve by changing the dice that you're rolling. Play with that at home. That's a compelling thing. It's an interesting thing you could try.
Yeah.
So another thing on just one last thing on the are you actually playing Pathfinder? Well, I was a playtester for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and I talked with Jason Bowman in person when we were doing the playtest, and I was giving him some pushback on something of like, I don't really like this rule. Have you considered that? And from the horse's mouth, I have, it wouldn't be an RPG if we told you how to play your game at home. Do whatever you want, man. So the designers are telling you it's Legos, man. Do what you want. We have a suggestion for how you put the pieces together, but it doesn't have to look exactly like it does on the box. Their own games don't look exactly like they do as written. So it's that's what the rule 0 is there for, man. It's for you to modify and adjudicate as you see fit. We're still using the core mechanics. Thus far, initiative's literally the only thing we've changed. So, yeah.
That is so interesting as well, because that doesn't sell products, right?
Yeah.
Less is more is not a way to run a brand, right?
Yeah.
You
Right.
can just say, "Oh, cut off our initiative." No. You have to buy our special book, and in our special book, we have special rules for initiative, and then you read the rules like, "Oh yeah, the commander player archetype can change people's initiative around." Like, oh my god,
yeah. Right.
It's even more unplayable, right?
Yeah.
Less is more.
Of course. Let's see. So moving on from initiative, because I think we've covered that quite thoroughly. Anything else? So anything on Pathfinder specifically, or on anything else?
I mean, there are a couple topics I can think of. I'm also a bit like looking at the time. I don't know if you guys have a hard stop in 15 minutes or.
I got another hour easily. So
okay, so the talking about just like the fates situation in Pathfinder is crazy. It's like every time I look at my character sheet, it's full of stats. It's a Google document, a Google Sheets. I cannot tell when we are role playing. I cannot keep track of my evasion, my flurry of blows. I got down, but now I got key points and key mastery and the still mind, which gives me modifiers to die rolls, and keeping track of it all has been a burden to the point of like, okay, today. Oh no, I didn't need to pick a feat. I thought I need to pick a feat, but I didn't. And I kind of had to hound the rules to figure that out and ask Conway as the veteran with the system.
Yeah, because you don't get one at monks. Don't get one. But I couldn't remember if monks got a bonus feat at a 4th. They don't.
And besides that, it's not just like, okay, which piece would I want to pick, but also the elephant in the room changes which feats even exist and what they do. So I need to cross-reference 2 different websites, website and a PDF, to make sure I pick the right one. And it's not clearly organized. It's just like floating on the website.
That one is definitely a problem with the websites. For example, D20 PFSRD, it does have the huge wall of all the feats, but there's a lot of a problem. One is they do not clearly delineate what is third party from what is first party.
Right.
Editors at D20 just like throw in a bunch of third party stuff they think is cool. And you have to look at the bottom of the feat for the copyrights of like, oh, that's Cobalt Press. That's not from Paizo. And so you skip it and move on to the next one. That's why that's part of the reason where I'm like, just run the third party thing by me and do that. And it's another thing of, I've been playing this for a long time, and I am happy I want my character to be able to do X. I probably know whatever feat you're looking for, or I can look it up fairly
it's a
quickly.
very
That's how they build them.
Pathfinder. It's a very Pathfinder specific problem because I don't have fun looking for which feat fits my character the best.
Right. And
I already have a strong vision of my character.
Right.
Now, how he could express himself in combat, or like with an extra feat to give him an extra dimension, is like the
And-
20th facet on the 19-sided die. It just doesn't matter that much to me.
I'm very much against feats in general, like in any gaming system as well. I think every feat is a mechanic on its own. So what you have is a game with how many pages has the core book?
About 600.
So now if plus like every single feat, you know what I mean? I think it's overwhelming with mechanics. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we have 2 new players for this game playing Pathfinder for the first time, which is really cool.
I technically played, but it was a decade ago.
Right.
Right, yeah.
I've had contact with the enemy before.
But the thing there is that the feats are what gives Pathfinder longevity, in my opinion, because I can play like 7 human fighters that are completely different characters.
Yeah, you can build one, like I said, as a grappler, as a guy with a big, who's specialized at using a big 2-handed greatsword. And it doesn't just mean
That's not even considered archetypes, different stats. You know,
right? Yeah.
Conway, when you were describing like sorry.
I just wanted to finish the idea that Pathfinder gives you a lot of tools, and you can totally get overwhelmed in a massive workshop with like 12 different hammers that you can pick. You know?
Yeah, and let me interject real quick. There's a huge problem with this stuff being moved online because you have to remember you are looking at over a decade of publishing all in the same spot. And for some reason, these websites do not think, let's organize this by book. Let's organize this by, wait, when did this come out? In what book was this published in? Whereas, really, you know, if you're Paizo, if you're publishing the game, and totally a way that you could do this to get on to Adept Austin's question in there, I'll answer that in full later, though. You could totally do what a lot of people do, where it's like, right, core book, advanced class guide, 1 splat book. You know, we're not pulling from the whole corpus of information. I want you to have this PDF, this, you know, or this physical book. That way you're not super overwhelmed by this. So,
I mean, even without the whole website thing, that just might be a personal taste. I think in general, I prefer to play peatless games. Like when Conway was explaining the trample action before, I thought, oh, that's cool because you have one rule that applies to everything. And if you use that, you can use that. But feats are not that. Feats are, if a chair drops in the other room, you can do this. Like, it's
you can do a backflip.
I just give me like a general rule, and I think it's clunky, in my opinion. Like, I cannot manage all that, you know?
That's your criticism is partially warranted. But there are a ton of feats, and I would say the vast majority of them in Pathfinder are
it's a
things
plus
like,
to your modifier fates.
You know, catch off guard. You no longer take
when it's a flat thing like that. Fine. Like I'm better at climbing. Sweet.
Yeah.
But when I have like ultra specific things, like I gave a stupid example, but you kind of caught what I was trying to imply. And you have about like 300 pages of that. I think that's too much.
Well,
like, you can make cool stuff, but I'm supposed to learn all that to play your game.
Well, you don't have to though, right? Like the trample rule, that's not a feat at all. That's just a thing you can do, but you didn't have to learn it. We played 6 sessions so far and it's never come up, you know? So it's not like something
let's make it a bit more precise for your character, like the whole panache rule set for your class. It's quite elaborate.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't like it. I'm playing with it, but I don't like it, you know.
Well, you know, and I was it is one of the things where you tend to push people away from classes like that if they've never played Pathfinder before, but I think it's worked out. It's Adept Austin said, if you're going to start the campaign over again, would you change anything? Rules, table conventions, tools, equipment? Well, going in that, I would say to Nicholas, if you just want to play a kind of swashbuckling character, you don't have to play the swashbuckler class and deal with panache, which is it a meta currency? Isn't it a meta currency? It's trying to represent something in the world, but it's very nebulous. It's not like a tangible thing that you can grab onto and see it, touch it, taste it, right? So it's hard to role play that mechanic. And it's yet another thing to add on when you're trying to learn a new game that's already crunchy, right? Without it. So that's one. And this goes back to my guitar analogy, right? You don't need to use every note on the fretboard to make a song, right? That doesn't mean necessarily that guitars should cut the fretboard off and only have half of the fretboard there. It just means you look at a guitar and the first time you use it, your hands are like, how am I supposed to do this? And
you can even go a step further and pick up a ukulele. Like a lot of transferable skills, less things to keep track of. Right. That's the part of like, okay, play the normal fighter situation, or like in D&D, play the barbarian. Don't worry about any rules. You just take half damage. That's your big thing.
Something more.
The ironic thing is that I think Pathfinder is the best game for a high trust table, because I know nothing about panache. I never played a class with panache. I have no idea how it works. And if we're playing at a high trust table, I can just believe that Nicholas knows how it works, right? And then we can go from there.
Yeah.
If anything,
it took time to learn like what it does, what it can do, and stuff, because that's my character. But like the feeling I have when I watched your guys session 0 and when I get my guy, it was exact same feeling of picking up a MOBA you never played for the first time, and then you go to the shop, like, I cannot play this without a guy. Like, this is not a pickup game,
Oh no, that is a totally fair criticism. This game, like, and I have said that time and time again. If you were jumping into Pathfinder First Edition in like 2011, and there was basically hardly any written guides on it anywhere, you would be screwed. You'd be going, what? You're flipping back and forth.
You need a Virgil to take you through the 9 circles, because you're not making it out alone, like you need a guide.
It's like
while you weren't here, Tyler, I was helping them like pick feats, right?
Oh,
and I told them the best way for you to make your character is for you to tell me what you want your character to do, and I'll tell you what feat to look at.
Yes.
You need someone to guide you like that, because if you don't, then it's overwhelming.
And for me, for my background in other hobbies, I don't find that unusual, right? Because, I want to start doing Kung Fu. Well, you don't do that in a vacuum. You don't even do it from watching a video, or you learn from somebody else that already knows how to do it, right? So I think it's very human in that way, right? And likewise, when you're first starting to spar, you don't use every technique, right? You learn the basics first, and you're just going to be doing, punches, kicks, the basic stuff. Then you mix the weird stuff in intervals, right?
I'm going to call your bluff, Tyler.
Yeah.
Because I've been talking about a Spheres of Power game for the longest time, and you never played Spheres, right?
I'm going
to run a Spheres game, and I want you to be there. Because you're going to get the experience of playing through Pathfinder from the newcomer that knows nothing about like how spheres work,
Absolutely.
I think that'd be very fun.
And let's to give something for the viewers. Well, okay, how do you learn this expensive rule set like Pathfinder at a table where the rules are don't talk about the rules of Pathfinder while playing the game? Because every other table allows room for the players to ask questions. How does my panache works? Like I've read it, but I don't quite understand. And you take those 5 minutes to like have this like table talk while 2 other players are role playing with each other. You clarify some rules on the side.
So there's 2 solutions. So it's layered. It's not if one thing happens and it doesn't work, then you're screwed.
Toss the table, flip
it. Right. So one of them is we have things like this where, before the session, after the session, in the middle of the week, ask those sorts of questions. It's hey, I'm kind of confused on this. I don't why. So when this happened in the session, why was I rolling a combat maneuver instead of instead of base attack bonus? And it's like, okay, this is why. Oh, okay, gotcha. The alternative, let's say the GM has even forgotten the rule, right? I don't know the rule. Well, you can adjudicate something on the spot, right? It might not be the correct thing to say, oh, you want to try to wrestle this guy? I don't remember the grapple flow chart. Just roll a strength check, right? There you go. And just go with the flow. You want it to be high trust. You want it to be pretty fluid in there. And I would I would even say in particular, it's okay for a really short thing of if the player has remembered the rule correctly, it's fine to go combat maneuver. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely fine. What we don't want to do is open the book and be looking at like, okay, so it says you'd use a combat maneuver, or you can use escape artist. Oh, you can use escape artist instead. Okay, we don't want to do that, right? It's about the shorthand. It's about and it's an edge case. I was trying to think of like a crazy like, what if the GM is worse at the rules than the players? That's a pretty big edge case. I guess it could happen.
It would be stuff like, hey, your dragon breathes down on us, but I evade the attack.
Right.
And you forgot that my dwarf has the evasion action. Yeah. So you want to describe me eating all of this acid damage, but no, I dodge it all. I got evasion, brah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I would have, like, how do you do that in natural language? In that case, I would feel like I'm forced to retcon what you describe. But point out I got evasion. Yeah. It's like free verse.
Yeah. And a big part of that is Austin says here, you can even give the players directorial control. Yeah, let the players control that. Let the players describe a lot of the stuff, and then they'll go, oh, I know I have evasion, right? You don't need to double check with me, right? So
I think it really helps a lot with the GM's mental load if all the players are pulling their weight on the mechanics.
Yeah.
And this is something that, like, I love the example of like a guitar and like the ukulele. Like, yeah, you can play a fighter, and you know what? The fighter works perfectly in Pathfinder as well. It's not even like a dirty word to play a fighter.
No.
They have other classes like the summoner. There's like the double guitar. It's like impossible to fucking play. Like I don't think anyone allows summoners anymore, man.
No, they're banned pretty much everywhere.
I want to play summoner though. Why are you?
You can play an unchained summoner. They did fix it a little bit. It's still pretty crazy, but yeah.
I just want my 10 little sprites go about doing the mischief, keeping track of every one of them in the initiative order.
Yeah.
Since we don't do initiative, it's not a problem, right?
Oh, there you go. No.
Yeah, 10 different cameras with zonal art.
Oh my god!
Yeah, just multiply myself.
Right.
So okay, it's Tyler, then it's Caldaway, then it's Nicholas, and then Solar.
Yeah.
They can't stop all of us. I mean, about topics, right? We still have the whole 3D thing since last time we played.
Whole can of worms.
We got the 4D Beginner's Handbook out. Everyone should read it. Mandatory reading.
Yes.
I'm 30 pages through, guys. Sitting down and read the rule books, I can't do it. I can't. But I'm working on it.
I'm credited in it, so I had to read it. So, and it's quite an excellent book. It is a really good general framework of how to improve your games, just in general, not even specifically for the 4D thing. There are things in it that are really trying to get new people into the hobby. You don't have, if you feel some kind of way about putting a label on it, don't. It's just the framework we have, right? Don't worry about why French is called French and German is called Allemand in French, but it's called German. Don't think about that. Stop thinking about the labels. Just think about the reality.
Yeah, but the Germans also call it Deutsch. So
yeah, exactly. Everybody calls something different. Language is stupid. Don't worry about that. Worry about what the book is.
The reason why I bring it up is, hey, we branded our sessions as 3D, and I talked to Tyler. So what if we change it to 4D to help the newcomers? It is a 4D table. We do everything you would do at a 4D table, except for co-creating big elements into the world, like a faction or enemies or relationships, maybe even.
Yes.
But we do the 4D of there's a pen on the table and there's a pillow that you can pick up on, and there will be driftwood at the beach, and nobody's gonna yell at you that there's not.
Then at some point, co-creation became not even a part of the framework. It became that co-creation is just a thing you can do in any of the dimensions of roleplay. And I scratched my head when Crispy and Big Bad said that and went, when did that happen? And then it kind of got lost in other conversation. And so
time moved on without you. Discord is too fast. If you don't surf, you're drowning.
So then it became like, oh, okay, then I guess what we are doing is 4D. No problem there. It then brought up the question of, okay, then what is 3D? Because I'm kind of confused, because I thought the big thing that separated 3D and 4D initially was the introduction of co-creation. Well, if co-creation is just its own thing, it's not part of the framework, what's the difference between 3D and 4D? Okay, yes, and Elf Hunter is backing me up here that, yes, that is in fact how it was in the beginning. I was here, I just am an old man and haven't kept up with the times, right?
It's almost like, wait, rewind the tapes. Was it always the case? What was the discussion between Shauner and Tyler as you're talking about this whole thing?
Right.
1.5 years ago and all of that?
And there's
3 generations of this, actually. There's the first generation, which is like Big Bad, and there's a second generation, which is a separation of the 4 dimensions. Mm-hmm. And now we have this new generation of the 4D is one consolidated thing, right? I was there, man. I was there in the trenches.
Yeah, the beginner's handbook,
hatred of 4D.
Delineating like the neo definition to proselytize with. Well, I joke, we're not a cult, but that's what a handbook is for. Like, okay, how does this fucking thing work? Let's put it in a book.
Yeah. And this is a good point, Elf Hunter, is that you can find 1D games, you can find 2D games, and 3D games kind of just don't exist. It's really, really hard to, even in our circles where we've said like, oh yeah, 3D would be a great step. We've kind of almost...
We're a lot of one out, right?
Yeah, we're kind of the only ones doing that thing.
And we did say the big step is 3D, right?
Right.
This is the big, like, okay, you need to change so much about your mindset of playing a game to enter 3D, to being immersed in your character, that 4D almost feels more natural to me. If I'm 3D, that would mean I cannot assume anything about the world unless the game hasn't told me it exists. And that's much harder than assume that I can that there is a free bar stool available at the tavern. You know.
Yeah.
What
if the thing with like 1D, 2D, 3D? Wanna go ahead, Conway?
It's interesting because we stayed at the same place. It's like the times that moved past us. It's pretty interesting, right?
The main reason is because people get offended too easily. Maybe not the main reason, but that was one component of why everyone kind of ended up dropping, because people felt attacked by you implying that your game is 2D while mine is 4D. It's like the kids playing, like my toy is bigger than yours. So people felt like personally attacked, which is like
I've like 100 times as much fun as you do at my table. It's the same thing, right?
I am a
I thought it was useful distinction, honestly, because
it was a good framework.
But hey.
But I think I think there is an interesting thing for that 1D and 2D are describing things that exist, games that are out there. 3D is describing a thing that could exist, but kind of doesn't really. And 4D
Theoretical.
is describing the way we're doing things now. So,
Yeah, but the powers that be changed it now. Big Bacon
yeah.
came in and
Well, even before, and it is. I'm glad we have it in writing in a book now that this is what we mean by this, right? Because when there's a change, even with the people that are creating the terminology, and it's like, well, hey man, I don't watch every single one of the 4D guys' videos. There's not
Yeah.
enough hours in the day. So if something is said at hour 2 of a live stream here that is like from henceforth X will be the case, then no, you need to have that in writing somewhere and I feel like one of the things that it was just moved on where it was like, what? No, co-creation is its own thing, said very matter of factly, and I was like, am I old? Am I all right? Let's get you to your session.
we're becoming the first line of 4D grognards.
Oh, you say the things in my mind. Absolutely. I was there.
I like what Adept Austin posted there. Like, I think that's also a way to not use confusing terminology. Like, what is 1D, 2D? Like, social war and roleplay gaming. It's basically what they used to stand for.
It's weird that people talking about people getting offended by things. That second one's the weirdest thing to me. Where I go, oh, you're into like the mechanics, the mechanical gameplay part of Pathfinder. I am too. So why not just like cut the roleplay nonsense out and just play it as a war game? They're like, what? No, impossible. This could not be done. We can't do that. And I'm like, why not, man? Like at this point, it's just frustrating to see like 30 seconds of, oh, roleplay's happening. Oh, that's cool. All right. No, okay. Then it's cool.
I mean, that is the Pathfinder. This is the Pathfinder video game. You can boot it up. You have a linear story that you don't really affect except for your, ABC choices. And they actually try to do a really good job to give you as many choices as possible. But you can really delve into all of the combat variations of what class you pick, how many people you bring with you to fight out the battles with.
Yeah.
And you can enjoy all of your wargaming in a neat package that deals with all of the rules bloat and keeping track of all the feats that are available to you at which level, and if you have the prerequisites and all of that. And you've got nice graphics. You don't even need to imagine it. You can just look at it.
Yep.
Well, even at the table, it can be fun with the right guys, like going through a dungeon.
Well, and that's
just don't call it role playing.
Yeah, and that's what the Elvunder mentioned.
Don't take that murphy to your filthy mouth, you wargamer.
The 3.14159D, that's like, oh no, we're just barely there. And it's like, okay, what do you mean by we've been doing 2.5D for a while, and it's like, no, so sometimes you're role playing and then it's interrupted by moments of you not role playing for X amount of time.
It's not a spectrum, buddy.
No, and I think it's the percentage of time that matters, where it's like, there's that great sidebar in the handbook where it's like, yes, obviously you can't 100% role play unless you have some kind of mental psychosis, right? You cannot 100% step into somebody else's shoes. Obviously, it's aspirational, right? And my big thing is everybody is going to have different tolerances for how close to that 100%, right? How much of the rules obfuscation do you need for it to be satisfyingly in character, right? And for me, I can bring up rules clarifications if it if it takes a short amount of time. Some people might have to be, I want 90% of the session to be about role play, and if 10% of the time, if in oh God, what I'm doing percentages of a base 60-minute system in hours. I hate that. But if 10 minutes of, if you can get to 90%, that means in most sessions, you're having 10 minutes of mechanical talk. That should be plenty. That should be plenty, right?
It's a paradigm shift.
Right.
One of them is the rule, the other is the exception.
Yeah.
It was the rule to talk about the rules. Now it's the exception to talk about the rules.
Exactly.
And tables tried to introduce this before, and usually they would falter, or they would have like, okay, I need to throw up the T sign, or they deal with, that they come up with their own rituals to deal with it. But then they will also agree to just ask me, if you're too confused, it's okay to ask me.
Yeah.
At the 40 rule set, it's just like, no, you can go a bit harder on the rules.
Yeah.
If the players agree to it and try to interact with it, suddenly your games will become magical.
Yeah.
And the world comes alive. And that's weird because, hey, that's practically spell casting at this point.
Yep.
That's what it is. I mean, I wonder if anyone's going to disagree with me on this one. You are casting a spell to create a whole new world inside your own head and interact with it. And the people that you play this game with at the table all agree this world is real, and there will be consequences to what you do. So the longer you can stay there, the more like impressive it becomes in a way,
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah. I'm trying not to go on a rant. I feel cautious about the time, so.
No, that was good. And I was just trying to think of my next words without just saying something I've already said. So no, that was
Yeah. How many sessions do you think that it would take to end the particular module we're playing? Is this like a halfway point?
You're about halfway through. Yeah. It says the modules always give a like the characters will probably be or should be this level at the end of it, but obviously you can change that. It doesn't. The game is not the game, and most games, I would tell you, the audience, are not so tightly balanced that you have to follow it to a T, right? You can show up to stuff a level lower or a level higher and it still be challenging one way or the other without risking a TPK.
I almost feel like it's a tiring question to me nowadays of, what if, the players are 2 levels too high, or what if you give them a freebie level to be balanced with the module? And I think like, doesn't matter.
Right.
Who cares if you reach level 20 from level 1 all the way through a 3-year campaign that was painful and painstakingly organized?
Yep.
If you could just roll like a one-shot at level 20 instead and see how it feels like.
Well, and I won't say it never happens, but it happens way less with actual, martial arts, real things where you could get injured, which I find funny, where it's like, oh, that guy weighs 50 more pounds than me. Can I? No, we don't have discussions like that. I mean, we occasionally do where it's like, but it's just things of like, hey, don't feel bad if you lose because like that guy's got a lot of weight and strength on you. And if you were going to a tournament, you wouldn't actually be fighting that guy. So don't feel bad. It's just a learning experience, That's it. Everyone understands this in those terms more or less, but all of a sudden when we get into the game world, it has to be perfectly balanced, and I'm like, no, balance is kind of stupid. It's not a thing that happens in the real world,
And you cheated me out of a real Pathfinder game if you gave me an extra level.
Right, exactly. Yeah, or or did whatever contrivance to manipulating the world almost quantum ogre like in order to make sure that it's like, oh well, hold on, there's only 3 people and they say there should be 4 or 5, so all of a sudden the kobold population shrinks by 10% overnight for And I think this is absolutely true, Elf Hunter. We all understood these principles intuitively as children. I won't say all, right, but most of us understood these. You have the odd one out, but there are some kids that just
didn't back then still don't today.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah. But then there's the other weird thing where people that got it as kids all of a sudden don't get it as adults, right? And rules and regulations. There's something to be talked about at the society at large level there. I don't know what it is though.
What do you feel about the pace of play that we've had so far as a midway retrospective about the module?
Which has been famously criticized by the crispy runner on the table.
Well, let me. So I'd say we're about halfway through, which means we could expect this to get done in 12 sessions. You know, let's say it takes longer. Let's make it an even 14 sessions to get through this. Let me look up just a finished actual play of this. You know, get some examples. No, God, it helps if I spell right. Dragon's Demoned. So let's see. Dragon's Demand actual play by Neon Swamp. They're playing twice as long as we are per session, so 3 to 4 hours, and it took them 15 sessions. So it would take about 30 if we're doing a comparison there.
Like 30 hours to get through it all.
No, about 30 sessions for us because they did 15. They did 15 sessions at 3 to 4 hours apiece. So.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So the group that we did, they just finished it the other day. It took them 35 2 to 3 hour sessions. So at our pacing, we're running 2 to 3 times as fast as your average group is, just from what I'm looking at here.
And I feel like we are very lenient with the time that the characters have to interact with one another. I've loved the conversations that our characters have had. One of the highlights for me was when both Shair and Philippe were getting ready for like a new day, like in the morning, and Shair was applying makeup. And Philippe was like finding it weird, but he was also like grooming himself, right? It's like you can see like the difference like in true foreign cultures, but that although they don't say the same things, those things still rhyme. You know, I think that was pretty interesting. One thing I wish, and this is one thing that I would change for most of my games, that I wish that there was more inter-party conflict. So that was a very memorable thing for me from the Licious Drags game that we did. And I think that all of our characters are very buddy with one another, which was cool.
But I did think there was that cool moment of everyone being very tense, wondering like, and I wish, Crispy, if I got any beef with you, it's that you skipped the coolest part of that session, which is where you guys were having the like tense moment of like, we can't speak with that thing. It's a thing we might be here to kill. And then Shair is going, well, no, that's like, that thing's clearly exhibiting more than animal intelligence, and it might be a subject of this land. We can't kill a random subject of this Baroness's land. And that was cool.
Yeah.
It was very much like not just combat with the kobolds, but how to approach combat every step on the way. Like how much does it take to start a fight and start killing? And for my character as well, it's like I'm not here to kill and slaughter the locals as some brute, you know? Like my dwarf has principles, and these kobolds do not. So I'm gonna honor what it means to be Talash in this whole thing. And the kobold, they don't need to know that I even exist during this whole debate. I would just jump out of the bush and intimidate him. Like, tell me the truth. I understand. Like, you know, it's the whole. They have a forked tongue. They're also cowardly and don't want to tell you what they actually mean. Like all of these reasons, I just need to penetrate them first. And if they let down their guard, I can accept their help, or like, what's the word? Not co-create, fucking cooperate
Yeah,
with each other.
he's become 5D. He can only think in role-playing terms.
Shair's reluctancy to killing the kobolds on sight as well was not out of the blue. I think session 1 or 2 when we went to the Baroness, he asked like, "What are the kobolds? Like, are they the people from the lands?" And I don't really recall. I remember the Baroness saying something like, "Technically they are, but we don't want them."
Yeah,
I remember that was kind of her answer.
And I was thinking as her, where I was like, I don't know, she's probably never thought about that before. She's probably like, I guess technically it's thinking like, how do I collect taxes on this?
Which ancestor was on this swamp first, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And it's also the idea that our table allows that type of questioning. Sometimes you can have us out of character. Like, come on, guys, we need to work together on this. Come on, guys, don't split the party. Like,
right. Yep.
They're just kobolds. They're supposed to be the bad guys. Just kill them.
Yeah, you have
I really like
get more gold if we do it this way, guys.
The Philippe's and Shair's interaction as well, because there was a moment where like, but they're not human, and Shair's like, well, neither is Telash, but like we treat him, you know. And that was a cool. Natural moment that occurred. It was not scripted or anything.
Yeah,
absolutely. I don't even know if my dwarf heard that. I think I was trying to flank at that point.
Yeah, because you were sneaking around at the. You're on your Metal Gear Solid.
So I didn't even pick up on that. Telash wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shair, of course, sees like Telash as a person. They're clearly not a human species-wise, but he's a person.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if they have the same level of rationality as Telash, I don't know if I can just murder them like that. I will not sleep at night, man.
You see, this is why I specify sometimes that I want to rip out the good parts of 4D that are about playing an interesting game out from the parts that are about like making content about a game, right? Actual plays. Because I feel like all of us had so much fun having that slower pace to the game and letting those in-character moments just brew, right? Let them fester until they're just right.
My homies and I love talking about horses and mules, you know? What can I say, man?
Yeah.
What is a horse? Incredibly silly question to ask at a role-playing table.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, that's funny, you know, and it's not just funny for me as a player, but this works for my character right now.
It makes it feel like a fantasy world, right? Like you are really from a truly strange place that's far away.
Are they like mountain goats, or what are we talking about here? You know,
right?
You see, like, Austin's question, like, what would you do differently?
Yeah, and
honestly, I do not vibe with the game mechanically speaking. Honestly, every time I open my character sheet here, I'm like, you know. But I love the game that we're playing. You know, I love the characters, I love the interaction, and so to me, I have two hearts on it.
I feel like to say the things you dare not say, and to kill Conway on the spot. Sacrifice Pathfinder on the altar of ECD6 and continue playing.
That's rebounding way too much. That's like going from ascetic lifestyle to Elon Musk lifestyle.
Talking about being excommunicated from 4D, and it's a joke. I can't stand ECD6. It's like it's the opposite of like, you know. It's like, I don't need, a McLaren 720S. I'm going to go so fast in that thing, I'll kill myself, and the mechanics bills are going to be ridiculous. I also want more than a clapped out Honda Civic, right? I want something that is a little exciting, right? I want the because EZD6 is the car that you need to get you from point A to point B. There's nothing exciting about the actual mechanics themselves. And for some people, that's great, whatever. The mechanics are just a means to an end. You know, just like some people can eat plain boiled chicken and rice for every meal. For me, God, no, man. I played it once and I was like, I am already getting bored with these mechanics. Like, there's nothing here. There's nothing.
You play once, and mechanically speaking, you've seen all there is to see.
Exactly.
I haven't even played ECD6 yet. Like, most of my games have been pick up a 2d6 because I'm running training sessions.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so out of like trying to use systems to be just
Yeah.
well, nobody's even role playing. So just show me that you can role play. Do you understand pacing at a table?
Right? Yeah.
And that you can keep your
That's
turn
not
short
true.
and play back and forth with me.
You played ECD6. The Trench Punk game was ECD6.
Was it?
There you
B-
go.
It wasn't.
Before the
It
NPC,
wasn't
yeah.
the UNPC.
You don't even remember. See, you were so immersed.
Then
You
what
don't
does
even
that say
remember.
about
I'm
it?
thinking, yeah, I guess I was thinking that was already the
The-
Uriah rule set at that point, but you might be right.
I never sought out ECD6. I played it because it's the NPC game.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, no, not for me.
I don't-
Especially
so-
in NPC because there are like a few like class things,
Mhm.
and there are like other rule sets for it, and it
Yep.
changes you how the meta currencies work. And like, oh, meta currencies, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
Don't get me
Well,
wrong. The core of rolling a d6 or having advantage is not that bad. Like it's good for like
Yeah.
like how Zonar said, like a very
Yeah.
quick game whipped up just to try it out 4D. But nah, ECD6 not for me.
And
Didn't like it.
like I always refer back to that thing that Shauner said, system is setting. So if your system is generic, the setting's going to be generic. And I found some greater or lesser degree of that with EZD6, where if you have, like Elf Hunter here says, if you have a really good GM that's putting a lot of creative energy into it themselves, it can work, but in the way that you can really heavily modify a Honda Civic, right? You can. It's possible, but I'd rather just start with a better car. Yeah.
And in return, we started with the Pathfinder, which is basically build your car.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
what's it called? It's My Summer Car, the video
Yeah.
game, where you build the whole damn thing yourself,
Here's your
but then you
crate
know
engine.
how it works. And then we cut out
I just
parts
wanna
like,
drive to the
we
grocery
don't
store.
fucking need initiative because I understand all the other
this
fucking
exhaust,
rules.
don't need that.
Toss
Just
it
throw that
out.
away. Yeah. This,
Now, I asked the question about like the pace, right? And you went straight into a comparative mode, Flame Zombie.
yes.
But if it were to be merely what's the correct term here?
In
I
a vacuum.
suppose,
Yeah.
self, like introspective, right? Instead of
Yeah.
comparative.
Yeah.
What would you say of this game so far?
What's the way to put it?
Awful, terrible, right? That's what's on your mind.
I would say there are some slow moments, and I don't mean slow because I think things should have slow moments, right? I think the West has been culturally poisoned by Shakespeare, where you're allowed to have 5 minutes of something serious, then comedic relief happens. Then 5 minutes of something serious, then comedic relief happens. And pretty much all Western media has been in that general framework for like the last 500 years, right? And I think we should go back to more of the way that the Greeks had things where, there are occasionally comedic elements in a tragedy, which, comedy and tragedy were just the two forms of things, right? And it didn't mean tragic as in dark or sad. It meant it took itself seriously. Comedy didn't mean what comedy means today. It meant it didn't take itself as seriously. It was, lighthearted. So when you have that contrast, I think it's fine for something to be more serious, more morose. The pace sort of fits the tone here, where things are not good. Things could be worse always, but they're not going great. It's a hot, sweaty, sweltering. That the sort of temperature and aspect of things doesn't make you want to move fast. It doesn't make you want to get out of the tavern. It doesn't. It's evoking that of from the pacing. When a lot of GMs say, "Oh, this mechanic makes it to where the players will take a more cautious role when they know a trap's around every corner." When it's done that way, I find what happens a lot is it doesn't get cautious; it gets neurotic. Oh, I tap that with my 10-foot pole. I move forward 5 feet. I tap that with my 10-foot pole. I move forward 5 feet. Right?
I investigate the room. I perception check the room. See if
This
there are any traps hiding and all. Yeah.
this legitimately does feel like cautious pacing, where it's like, oh, we got an injury, we got a horrific like ghoul disease thing. We got to get out of here and get this treated. We don't know how long that's going to take to
Yep.
set in. We're not going to keep pressing forward after we've gotten this horrific thing. Also, these are two people I've never met before. We just met each other. We're getting to know. We are now laying each lives on the line for each other. We ought to pause and get to know each other a bit better. Have some of these slower discussions. So the aspects of it where it feels more slice of life, I'm fine with, right? Because that's if you've ever been a reenactment, you're sitting at camp, you have probably, like I said, in a 24-hour reenactment, an hour total of fighting. The other 23 hours are sleeping and yakking with the guys that you're fighting with, right? So I think it makes this pacing feels more real. It makes the world feel more believable. What do you guys think?
I have strong opinions about pacing. Since
Let's hear 'em.
did you end up watching the live stream? I don't remember
Which one?
of mine. I named one pacing that I did live stream with techno music, and I was just jamming out while laying down my thoughts.
That's one I need
The
to
one was
catch, yeah.
impossible to hear somewhere speaking.
yeah. It's a bit difficult here. So, but the big. I'm sorry.
I remember that one. The one that was hard to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, true. So my whole point about that video is also like to riff on Crispy a little, since he is awesome, so he can take it, But as you already talked about, like throwing in, the next enemy jumps in and the fight starts out feeling unnatural. I fully agree with the sentiment. For me, pacing is not about how long does it take until we reach the next act in the movie. The pacing is how fast can people at the table interact with each other. So I think about, what would it be? If I think about a movie, it would be how long does it take until every actor at the table can say his line, or react to what the other players are doing. How long does it take for that interplay to fully play out, from Talash says something, Shair comments, Philippe repositions himself in the room, the game master describes an event that happens around us as a consequence, like, the barkeeper says something, and that back and forth, like a tennis match. It's about how fast can we shoot the ball back and forth. And that is the pacing. That's what makes it exciting. And we can also slow down the pacing to fit the mood and the theme of the moment, which is why I loved the bathroom scene of Talash taking a bath, washing himself with a piece of cloth. It was incredibly slow. It was only me. It was only the game master reacted to it. But it is in the contrast of we are switching between Conway and Nicholas role-playing back and forth. Then we switch to me and you role-playing back and forth. Then we jump back again. So we have the natural pacing there as well. There's no hard rule that says, we all need to say one line and then before you're allowed to speak again.
It took me a while to figure out what that scene reminded me of, because it's Shauner had his famous, when in a movie does XYZ happen? And so I was trying to think, and I think there's always exceptions to that, right? Because I'm not exactly trying to emulate a movie, but I think it's a good thought exercise. When in a movie does that happen? Well, if you've ever seen the original Ghost in the Shell, and if you haven't here, then what are you doing, man? Quit this and then go watch it.
Stop right now.
There is a long panning shot, and it is like a 5-minute long scene of just the buildings. And it's one of the best scenes in the movie, because all it does is it sets tone, and it goes from you're an action movie to stop, pause. There's billions of people here that are just living their day-to-day life, that are pondering what it means to be human, that are pondering, these. Take a moment to breathe, man. Like let all of the tension resolve, remind people this is a real world, right? There's not, Matrix coded criminals, blasting Uzis at Android cops on every street corner. That's the unusual thing. So when you don't have that contrast of slow, fast, then the fast doesn't really mean anything, right? It's just a kind of the ADHD, bouncing off the wall.
It's almost vapid at points.
Yeah, right. There's nothing wrong with that. I love stupid action movies like Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Right? Like I said, if that's the tone, great. But it's not the only thing I would want to do. Likewise, this is also not the only thing I would want to do.
That is interesting because now that I have more points of comparison, I could compare this game to the Lich's Regs game we did. In the Lich's Regs, I did complain about pacing. And I feel that's because that was before we had more tools to deal with it as players, right? I mean, it was even in the Lich's Regs game that we invented the framework of like a longer actions and queuing actions and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was a problem there, and I don't feel like it was a problem here. I don't. There was not a single point where I thought that pacing is wrong here. I think this is our deliberate way of exploring this world.
Now, a GM's tool that I kind of pigeonholed myself here when I was talking to this with Crispy, where it's like, well, what about it's like, I was telling him, like, even if, let's say I did have a situation where it warranted, like, some townsfolk getting attacked, I was like, I would be breaking some of the reality of the world because I already said, like, these weird alien Grioth things had scared off the wolves had stopped howling, they'd stopped baying, they're already out of there. So I had no reason to have a townsfolk get attacked at this point because there's this weird, like, tenuous piece of something scarier than the wolves has shown up. So after you killed that, well, the wolves are still, they're heading out for a while, right? You shoot a gun, the deer don't come back for the rest of the day, right? They're off, right? So, that's so it's a consideration, what your actions now, they matter for later on in the session. So, and you're beholden to keeping that an organically moving world, right? That's one of the really tricky things about doing things low to no prep, even within a module, right?
The real pitfall I see is comparing role-playing games to movies. They're not movies.
No,
they're their own medium, and it changes with the group that you play with on how fast or how slow you want to take things. It changes with the characters you want to play and the system you want to play in. They have different implications of, you can have like an action star role-playing system that is fast and loose with the rules, and you go from action scene to action scene. Or you can take a slow, deliberate approach.
I feel like they're not movies, but they're similar enough to movies to compare.
Yeah.
Because here's an example.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. No,
well, okay. A couple of things that came to mind is you can draw inspiration from every medium, like opera, like TV shows.
Yeah.
You can draw inspiration from Breaking Bad as well as Andor. Completely different ways to take on a TV show. Or you can play it like Full House, like some 80s kitsch that's just quite lighthearted.
I would say that's how most role-playing games are played. Sitcoms.
But if you want it to be like a movie, instead of trying to force this frame of a movie, think about the reason why they don't show certain scenes is to make the story tie together for the character arcs to work. They show a thing that happens to a character because they want him to go on an arc, that he's going to do something about it later on. Like the movie happens, he gets punched in the face, he doesn't do anything against the bully. Then he lives alive. And at the end of the movie, he gets punched in the face again. But this time, he turns around and tackles him, And then you can have the heroic triumph of he finally overcame his own cowardice, or the tragedy, he did overcome his cowardice and now he's in jail. Like the twist of he did the thing and it's gotten even worse. And you can create exciting stories around that. And keeping those aspects in role-playing games makes a lot of sense of if you think about why you did it this way. And then when events happen in the world, it can inform your future role-playing decisions of, okay, maybe Talash was is stoic, like as a character trait, but he could also be like a foreigner, like standoffish. But then learning, okay, but when I actually talk to people, they open up and then I can help them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I need to open up a little bit myself to
the
help them come out of their
difference
shell.
difference
Yeah.
between a character and a
It's not
caricature.
one or the other. It's not one or the other, right? You can enjoy
Yes.
a fast-paced action movie, and then you can
Yeah.
also enjoy a slower pace like sci-fi movie, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? When we did our Dark Heresy game, I was very explicit. I said this is going to be like an 80s action movie.
Yeah,
That is the pacing, right? And then if you
Yes.
read the Dark Heresy game, which was the first game, like the first 4D game I ran that was recorded, that felt like an 80s action movie, right? It was like it had that action flick like feel to it and pacing. It's like in 2 hours we did the whole thing, the whole story, like character death and everything. It was really cool. And then this or Lich's Dregs, it's more like a series, right? Like a slower series, exploring the characters, maybe even more like a book.
Yeah. It's I never. Yeah, I'll let you speak, Nick, because you've been trying to. Sorry about this. I promise. I never wanted to get to the full point of Dickensian, but read some of Charles Dickens' writings, not as a book, but as they were originally published, which is a monthly magazine. You'll read 15, 20 pages that are just about one character going to the market, then coming back from the market. And you're really just learning a lot about like 19th century life. And, you're learning a lot about this, this street urchin trying to become, make something, trying to just live and survive in the world. And there's no like plot or anything. It's just the day to day of this kid's life. Right. And then you're thinking, oh, well, the issue's over. Well, I want to see what happens to this kid. I want to see I want the next issue, right? So that is a totally different paradigm to how most things are written today. And I think he goes too far in it. There's some places where he's doing what some GMs do, where they spend 5 minutes describing the curtains on the walls, and you're like, okay, dude,
Right.
right. You ran out of, you don't need that. But so Nick, what were you going to say?
The original question of pacing and how you feel about that. Now, listening to you guys talk and reading the comments here, I kind of had an epiphany on when it comes to myself.
Yeah.
First, I want to address the beast of comparing an RPG session to a movie or a book or something else. I think it's very important to not let the lines get blurred, because they are different beasts. Though I guess the final product is similar. The final product of a RPG session, you have like a story from beginning to end, right? So it kind of becomes a narrative. But that's not what we are doing. Like in a video game, if I'm playing a video game, I get extremely annoyed with cutscenes because that's not me. I'm not doing anything. I'm watching something. Right. I want to play the game. I want to interact, because that's how I interact with what I'm doing in a video game. But in an RPG session, what I do is controlling my character. So, and I think this may be why I enjoy slow burn so much, because slow burn is my character. It's when I get to do the thing that my character does. It's the only way I can explore and interact with the world. And if you are arbitrarily trying to keep things fast-paced all the time, sure, we can emulate a germ better, or if you're playing a one-shot, we can get more done. But you're stealing... I'm letting you kill a little bit of my character in a meta way, because I'm not getting to be him.
That's a great comparison. Yeah, it's like when a lot of pushes do absolutely run the like... You're walking and you're like picking up grass, or you're gonna go like pick this item up, and then you cross the invisible barrier, and a thing happens, and you're like, what? But I didn't. Hey, hang on. And now the next time you play through it, you're trying to find like, where is the line that triggers the cutscene so I can like go around here and not trigger it? And like, you're trying to
Yeah.
sequence break the game. And, you know, people even love that agency in video games. You know, Elden Ring patched out some of the sequence breaks where you could like run around where the cutscene starts. And people were pissed. They were like, what the hell? Let me do that. Let me have the freedom to break your game, right? And I let players have the freedom to set the pace, right? You know, that's I think
This is
absolutely.
This is specifically why I want to rip out the good RP advice from like the content creation. Because don't get me wrong, as an actual play, if I'm watching something, I want the players to be doing something exciting. But as a player, I just want to explore the world of my character. I want to role play, you know.
You know,
So
and there's lots of, you know, I say we're comparing to other mediums because what do you do for fun? How is it similar to this other thing that you do for fun, right? Look at one of the most successful video games of the last 5 years, Red Dead Redemption 2. Try watching a Let's Play of that. They're almost unwatchable because 90% of the game is not the cool, memorable John Marston, Arthur cutscenes. It's not that. It's you killed a guy. Now you're on the run from the law for a fairly reasonable time for killing the guy. You head to a town where you're not known. You hit L2 to wave and say hi to some people. You skin a deer and you're watching. And now, again, with the retreading thing, I don't want to watch, you know, Arthur skin a deer for the 90th time in a row. But the first times it's done, it puts you in the world, right? It's a methodical thing that you're doing. As far as watching it, it's molasses, dude. It's like, I don't care, dude. I want to do the thing. It's fun to be there doing the thing, but it's not a game you can watch somebody else play really until they hit a story mission, right? And then again, it takes me out of it where it's like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Rockstar style of games, even though they are incredibly popular. But that's just an example that came to the top of my mind because of like, yeah, no, the actual gameplay in that game is quite slowly paced. And people love it. So
yeah,
take from that what you will. As Elf Hunter says, he says, I'm more interested in watching campaigns than go and get out one shots personally. Yeah, I think so too. And I think there's something human about long term. You know, we don't live for a day. We don't live for 2 hours. We somebody that we're interested in, a person that we're interested in, we want to follow them, keep getting updates about their life as it goes on. You don't want to just, cut off contact. So, the dark side of that is the 980th episode of One Piece, where it's like, could this not have ended by now? I feel like you could have found a spot that it naturally could have ended by now. On the flip side, how cool is it that this has been going on for 30 years? People have grown up and are now watching it with their kids, or you just get to do more. It's more, there's a lot in there. I'll stop rambling about it.
I mean, I'll be honest, like the incredible long-term world that you and your friends have shaped is still an utopia for me, right?
Yeah.
The game that you start now and then 20 years down the line you're still playing. Maybe some kids from the players join in as well.
Yeah.
And everything is everything is something that the players made, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now that you have this war that their characters fought in the past,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
But I said world, not characters, because I don't want to play the same guy for 20 years. I'm already doing that my whole.
This is a treasure of D&D. We played this campaign. I drew a whole map. I got multiple cities that I know multiple characters that lived there. You can name them. You know the factions. You understood where an adventuring party got ran over by bandits and the kobold tribes that were fighting, and how and the orcs that live in the mountain, and all of that information. That's it's just lore fluff for a newcomer. But it made the world alive. And when you look back, you remember the world being alive. And we want the world to be alive while we play it.
what Conway said. I'll give you guys an example, which bringing back to our game. Last time we finished playing the game, and even today, as I was preparing for a possible another session, I was thinking like, I really don't know if Shire would if everybody agreed we're gonna deal with the dragon. I think Shire is more inclined to like leave. He would not stick around.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, well, that's not very smart. And then I caught myself thinking, well, yeah, but like this is not what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta let characters naturally go their way, and it's not gonna be sport every time.
No, I've done that before where the playing in a 2D game where it's like, okay, this is the threat, and we're several sessions in, so that what the threat has changed. We haven't had a new session 0 to discuss like goals and stuff, and basically a thing comes up and it's like, oh, I need you to sneak up on a hag. Well, I'm playing a mermaid that wears full plate and can only get around above land for short periods of time without water, because I was like, I think that's super cool. I'd never played like she's a questing mermaid princess that has reason to negotiate with the tribes of land and is exploring up here, and she's straight up telling this dude, look at me, man. Like, you're asking me to get myself killed for a guy I just met. I'm not going to do that. And then the game just like halts because it's like, well, wait a minute. I don't have anything for you to do then. Like,
but you showed up on Friday night, so you have to.
Yeah. So, and I didn't. I just went, you guys have fun with that. She's just going to hang out at the tavern, I guess, until you guys come back. Good luck. Like,
the best. If I can share a story, I might have told it before. The best part I had, like, the game master tried to run a Shadowrun adventure path, like a bigger ordeal, a place in Africa. And I brought my Shadowrunner, which is a technomancer, and we went on this quest. So the group met up like 4 or 5 times to play it through. And in the middle of it, I had a breakdown in character. Like, none of my technomancy works. I'm a black guy in Africa, but I'm basically New York. I'm basically a Seattler.
Yeah.
None of my magic works here. Like, all the technologies there are multiple dead zones. Like, everyone is fucking rude to me, and they're no fun, and they don't know music, and they cannot dance. So I'm just having a freak out on every level, and I crashed out in character at the table.
Yeah.
And that's when all the other players try to roleplay with my character. Sometimes they broke roleplay, like, oh, don't be like that. I'm like, feel free to argue with my character. I'm being in character. Talk to him. Don't talk to me. Talk to him. And that was the most memorable moment of that whole short campaign that I got to do with this character.
Yeah.
I tried to leave the country, but the game master wouldn't let me. It's like, oh, it's virtually impossible. You would be like 6 stitches in depth, and or you would just die in the desert. If you leave your contract without fulfilling it, you don't get the plane back. I'm like, okay, my character wouldn't fucking murder himself, so I'm sticking around for the game and to be a good sport. But I wish I would have just went through the desert, and stuck to the guns.
Do like the penguin, thread your path.
Yeah.
But like when I joined the game, like, again, I guess the sport part is before the session where, we're doing a campaign, so I'm gonna play a guy who's willing to do the things, but playing Shire and kind of discovering Shire along the way made me realize that he's not willing to fight a dragon. And that's something that before we started playing, I could not see it happening because I was not in the skin of the character yet. Like, I'm willing to fight like ghouls. I'm willing to fight a crazed wizard, like a dragon. You're asking me to kill myself for, no reason.
For strangers. Yeah.
If you never leave that comfort zone of just doing things that a D&D character will do, then you never progress, right? The most memorable moments are when you leave your comfort zone and your character ends up dying. or my character in Lich's Rex game, which is one of the most memorable RPG moments I've ever had, right? Like, you need to leave your comfort zone. Don't be glued at the hip. Don't feel like you're forced to be there just to have party cohesion. Just do what the character would do, and the story that emerges will be much better than anything you could have come up with.
Yeah, and absolutely fine to change characters, bring a new character in. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I think there is a misconception about the idea of a campaign that it's like, no, not only is the game world the same and moving forward, you have to stick with these characters unless they die or something. And then, you've seen some OSR stuff where it's like, oh, if you die at level 4, the character that comes back is now level 1, or, there's some level different. And it's like, well, why? Like, you're looking for, you lose your the bartender at work who had 5 years of experience, so you're like, well, I guess we'll hire a guy with 0 experience. But no, you try to look for another guy with experience to come in. It's all done outside of the game when you decide to bring a new character in anyways, so it's not like a huge contrivance. It's just a weird thing for me.
And for me, the most interesting part is role playing out. Like, okay, that's a dragon. I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah.
Because
right?
that's so. I mean, this is drama.
Yeah.
Interpersonal drama for the characters. They are in trouble. You don't want to stick around to help them? Like, what's going on here? It's like, okay, none of us live here. It's not our culture. They're not our families. Like, Philippe, like, at best, they're unruly neighbors for him. I don't even know this continent.
Yeah.
I'm the unruly one here, I think.
Yeah.
But
True.
Yeah, Elfhunter says, only reason my character engaged with the hook in their game, Miros Doomed, go check that out if you haven't seen it, is because he lost his family and figured he might as well do something good with his life. Just as easily could have given up and moved on. Yeah, exactly. It's like you guys remind me kind of like the French Foreign Legion right now, where it's like, how do you convince a bunch of foreigners to fight for your local struggles? Right? It's a tough pill to swallow. So yeah, no. If you want to, that's all you, Nicholas. If you want to introduce a different character and we figure that out.
I'll play another session because it will entirely depend on what like everybody decides. Like Shay gave an option at the end, like we should just flee to the underground for now.
I definitely think we should role play that. And at the end of the session, I think at the end of the session we will know if you need a new character, or if the campaign is over. Like, do we keep going? Do you get a new character? Is the campaign finished?
Yeah.
That's a good point, right?
Yeah, the dragon may have its reign. That's true. That's it's a consideration that people are afraid of for some reason. Of like, oh no, I had the TPK, and I'm like, that's awesome. That's so like, wow. Sometimes it's cool to have like a gruesome bad end, right? Like that's
or
as long as it's organic.
You get a backstory for your next game in the same universe.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Or like on a different more meta level. Are we okay to still meet up, but Nicholas isn't playing with us? Like, would it still be interesting to keep playing with 3 players? Or I propose that, hey, what if I'm not playing? Because I want to know, I'm invested in figuring out an adventure path, playing that in 4D. And I want to see that to conclusion. Me playing at the table can be secondary to that.
Well, I'd be sad to miss any of you, but, this was going to start with just 2 of you. Hell, I'd run it with just 1 of you and see, like, if I would just add on to the challenges of, like, can you do Pathfinder and Adventure Path in 4D with a quarter of the people you're supposed to have for it? So,
in a 101 campaign.
Yeah. Like,
super cool stuff. That's the thing about RPGs. Like, you just show up and figure out what happens, right?
Yep.
There is no serious pressure here. This is not a massive production for a TV show or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Although some people play like that, I guess.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Our game is on pacing. Our game is much shorter and we don't edit it at all. So, these other guys, I'm just looking at the timestamps. If they're editing their videos, then they're even longer than that. So
imagine the power we would if put in the work and time and money to,
maybe someday.
It could be the next big thing.
Yeah.
So,
But
as Warden, they're not the same thing, right?
Right.
I like playing this way. I think it'd be weird if we played a different way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I imply post-production.
Yeah.
Entirely. I'm not changing the way I play because I'm playing for myself, not for you.
Yeah.
But post-production is, freelance.
Let's talk about that briefly, because part of Adept Austin's question was tools.
What we would change?
Yeah. What would you change? Tools and equipment. Well, we're already kind of neither here nor there on StreamYard. I can't remember if we said that before the stream started or in the middle of it. But StreamYard, cameras, audio equipment, every single bit has a problem. Yeah, I feel like for some reason, it's just like role-playing games. They've been around for decades, but they all still have problems. And of course, I'm not asking for something to be perfect, but it's man, it seems like every single time we start a stream, I'm green. Zonalar's microphone is either way too loud or way too quiet for unknown reasons.
Or doesn't work.
Or doesn't work at all. Yeah. And it's not a hardware issue, because you get into Discord and it's no, it's fine here. So why is I would like a slightly better camera. NVIDIA broadcast, that's the thing I have changed throughout it. It responds way faster than StreamYard's built-in blocking. The AC being presented, that's a thing we changed as we were going. That's been really helpful.
Yeah.
Also the character art, that's a cool little thing. So yeah, I would like to get a better camera, thinking about switching, streaming services perhaps. Other things would change. I mean, so we talked to Warden of Nobody Wake the Bugbear. They do more edited, curated stuff in their playthroughs, and they were saying, looking through our games, there isn't a lot you could edit out. And that's sort of the goal to me, is they're you could put things through a compressor where you could record individual audio channels and normalize things. But as far as there's just not a lot to cut, right? If you cut things, you would lose information. I think that is high praise on, well, is the pacing slow? Yeah, but stuff is happening, right? It's not just slow for slow's sake.
Yeah, it's dense. If anything, every action and sometimes even our inaction informs the world, informs what is happening.
Yeah. Obviously, would switch to Mythos side. I've never played it. Pathfinder is
one thing I would say of okay, what would you switch? If I could pay $20 to a program to just fucking fix the character sheet and how to pick fates and do things automatic for me, I mean, Conway uses Foundry. I'm down to pay a one-time price to get it all working in its own app. And never look back. I do the same with Jammer, with Shadowrun.
I have Foundry, but I never thought of doing the same thing until now.
I'm down to bite the bullets for the investment. Well, I'm playing a campaign, so now is a good reason to learn. Set it all up once and never look back. My Jammer program, it's not updated for 5 years. It just needs to run for my characters. That's all it needs to do, and it does that exceptionally well.
Funny that you mentioned that, because you could have just asked, and I would have posted my Foundry here on the computer, and then you could just open Foundry and use the same.
Now you know.
Well, we could, maybe we can still do that.
There you go. Yeah.
I just want to be able to interact with it on my own without needing to rely on your account information or anything like that, or licensing. I'm not sure how things are packaged in Foundry.
I need to open the server on my end, but then you can just, as soon as it's open, you can do whatever you want with your sheet. And I can also send the sheet in in a different format for you, so you can also have it whenever you want.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, doing it through a Google Sheet is insane. Like, if you want to role play, am I this guy? Am I really gonna tell people again just play D&D 5e? I just might, you know. It's
That's
the middle ground.
fire.
It's the vanilla,
I would like Tyler to highlight this one comment.
Yes.
Yeah. For example, I would revisit Delicious Drags, but not in D&D, not in 5e. Like, I don't want to handle that. I don't know if I would like to replay my character like this one in a different game, though. Mostly because I think it would break the logic of the world would come crumbling down, you know?
Yeah.
Mostly for that reason. But because 5e is like already generic, like I can do that in a different game.
A lot of people converted their characters from like 3rd edition to 4th edition, right? And
Pathfinder?
I think it's no D&D, right?
Oh.
And some people converted because there are rules for like converting your characters between editions, right? So this is not like as outrageous as it sounds. Some people even converted 1E Pathfinder characters to 2nd E Pathfinder characters, which is like insane to me, right?
Yep. Gain Shoonie.
Yeah, you can play a Shoonie now finally with the Shoonie tag.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's funny though, because I feel like that type of behavior where you're actually like converting from one system to another is indicative of you finding the system to be more important than the character you're playing. Because Philippe to me is a gestalt of like the rules and the way I'm playing him. Like if I had to convert Philippe to a different system, it wouldn't feel like Philippe to me.
Yeah, I think Pathfinder's greatest strength is exactly that. You can build a character that is very much tied into the world and to that character, right? And moving it into something different. Like Pathfinder 2nd edition doesn't feel like Pathfinder. It feels like it's Pathfinder in name only, right? Like there are parts of it that, like the whole tagging system, it's unrecognizable from the 1st edition. There's nothing like that in 1st edition Pathfinder. And so when you have things like that, especially things like Magus, are there games that would let you make something similar? Okay. Do they have the Vancian casting system? Not, and that's a big thing. You know, if you were going from 3rd edition to 4th edition to 5th edition, well, all of a sudden the way magic works in the world is different. Like that, they broke the whole world of, you know, Faerun, Forgotten Realms, any of these, by getting rid of Vancian castings. Like it's an insane thing to hand wave and then move on with their life as though like that hasn't just, you know, changed the the fundamental physics of the world.
It's okay. So you broke the verisimilitude of your entire universe. You're just ignoring it? Okay, I guess.
Yeah. Like, well, anyways, moving on. And it's like, well, hang on. You know, and a lot of it is, you know, Vancian casting. For example, to Austin's point here, 5e is not middle ground. It's a rules-heavy game pretending to be medium or light. One of the ways it pretends to be medium or light is it doesn't explain what Vancian casting is. It doesn't explain, like, any of the origins of, you know, Jack Vance's magic system that D&D takes part of, and because of that, well, it's hard to role play a thing that isn't explained at all, where it's like, oh, it's just magic, you do the thing. It's like, well, no.
The genre it emulates too is weird, you know.
Pathfinder has some errata. Pathfinder has like some errata on it and some like commentary from the developers. D&D 5e is mostly commentary from developers on Twitter. That's how you know 5e. You go to Twitter and you open that guy's like Twitter feed.
It's ridiculous.
He is actually explaining the rules because the rules are not in the book for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's exactly the thing. It's like you'll have a mechanic and it's a third written, and then you're like, well, wait, what about this scenario or that scenario? And you're like, oh, well, in case of those, that's in an errata text that's only online because we don't print errata text. What are you, crazy? It's 2025.
That's. I have a thought on this, and
Yes,
maybe we can talk, like take another round of talking about how to convert this game if we wanted to. Like what would we change?
Yeah, let's tackle if we wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, what am I excited to play? And like the biggest revelation was for instead of leaving the hobby and just play video games or paint my minis and set up Warhammer tables, go out again to play with nerds since they don't live in my town. I need to go to the city to play with them.
Right.
What I actually get to roleplay now with 40 role-playing tables with people that respect and acknowledge and enjoy me staying in character, not stopping me to ask, well, but that's not very effective. Why would your character do that instead of doing Y instead? So that's the big breakthrough. And this whole topic about like using Pathfinder, not using ECD6 or other rule systems, is like, well, the rules are fun too. But I'm still like, well, are they fun? I'm enjoying Pathfinder because I play with you guys, and you guys know the rules very well. So I can rely on you while I try to like not be a weight on the rules end of things, but bring a lot into the game from the roleplay side of things. So I'm interested in trying out different rules heavy systems to see, well, how much fun can I get if I get to roleplay and to engage with the rules in a complex level, like playing BattleTech, A Time of War. But what if we roleplayed there? Like all the rules of like hit locations, shooting fucking missiles and laser barrages, and being in your own motherfucking mech on a battlefield. That's sick as fuck. But it's also wargaming. So like those are a cool rule set I'm willing to engage with, that I don't see like people trying to roleplay in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had some other examples too, but we could try Mithras. I'm interested in teaching players the Dark Eye, the German rule set. But my wife is only interested in the 4th edition, but it doesn't have an English version. So it's hard for me to, I don't even know if I can translate all the cool bits about the system to the Americans.
I'm running through the same problem, but I choose a simpler system, a Brazilian one as well.
The Brazilian one, yeah.
So I think the thing to take from that is there are board games and tabletop games that give us mechanics that don't work in video games for one or a number of reasons, but it's namely because video games are very rigid. Once it's programmed and put out there, unless you're a modder, and even if you are, you're still limited by the engine. That's that. It is what it is. Oh, you don't like the way this character looks? Well, you can't simply imagine them a different way. It's there. It's being beamed into your eyes. This is objective reality, right? Whereas board games, role-playing games, they give you a lot more freedom to do exactly what it is you want. So a lot of the mechanical stuff is like, oh, you're playing a video game by hand. It's like, not exactly. Because you mentioned the Wrath of the Righteous, Pathfinder video games earlier.
Yeah.
They don't play Pathfinder 1-to-1. They change a lot of stuff about it. Baldur's Gate 3 does not play 5th edition. It's different. So if there are aspects of those...
No counterspell, just removed completely. Takes so much like computational load off all the developers of, but what if he just threw in a counterspell?
I'm just going to teleport to a different country right now. No, you can't do that. Otherwise, there'd be no game, right?
You cannot create all of these fucking cities. It's Baldur's Gate. What do you mean you want to go to Elturel or what else is out there? Fucking Waterdeep? Icewind Dale. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, so you're stuck within the limitations of these. And a lot of times beyond role-playing, what attracts people to role-playing games, it's freeform. The freeform nature, even if I have to fight tooth and nail with my GM, I can do whatever I want, right? Or I can at least do things that I would not be even able to do in in a video game, in something that's pre-programmed. So that's a lot of my attraction to some of these mechanics, is I can get into, you try to make sword fighting realistic in a video game. Well, here's the problem. I'm still controlling it like this. This does not link to this, they have nothing compared together, and it just feels very jank.
It's
And
even
yeah.
Finish your thought. Sorry.
When we're working with language, though, language is a thing I work with. It's a thing I've worked with since I got language at 3 years old, or however, 2.5, I think, is when they say you should start saying your first word, something like that. That's a thing you've got. It's very organic. It feels natural to explain things and engage with things through language. So when you have a mechanic system that is language based rather than mouse and keyboard or gamepad or this sort of thing, you can get into these crunchy simulationist things, combined with the fact that you can imagine it, however it is. You don't have, this guy's supposed to, they were trying to make a grounded medieval game, but this guy's sword is 100 years late. No, just, you don't show it to me. I've already imagined what it is in my head. So
there's this thing of like, okay, video games don't translate. You're still using mouse and keyboard to control your Zweihander.
You're right.
And I'm thinking of Chivalry Medieval Warfare 2, which was groundbreaking at its time on how to control your knights, or for melee melee combat in a medieval setting. But even in that, like, okay, the first signs and things for breaking down is you show the enemy your back and you look at the sky so that your overhand attack clips the enemy on like the first possible pixel it can register to be faster than the enemy.
You're doing this so your hitbox is farther away and harder to hit. Yeah.
And you can like literally duck underneath enemies' movements.
Yeah.
So like, because your spine can bend 90 degrees and so it's not gonna hit your hitbox, which is cool and skillful, but doesn't translate in a natural combat, medieval combat.
Exactly.
It's something else at that point.
Yeah. So that's something I really like about the mechanical crunch of a lot of these games. Is it allows you to emulate, if not simulate, a world like this and situations like that, right? So more than just being, cowboys and Indians, and we occasionally roll a d6 or 2d6 to adjudicate success failure. Like a little more crunch than that. So, I was going to share here my screen so that the fellas at home, in case you are not aware of the horror that we have been talking about. I should have done this earlier, but I wasn't thinking about it. We get to see infinitely. There we go. So you may notice this bar is quite small. And there's a couple of feats in this game. I admit this might be a bit much.
A little bit.
We made fun of like the Shuni brick wall, but like this is also its own wall of lamentations, It's endless.
And absolutely. And there will be things where it's like, oh, pure faith, I need the divine health class feature. I have no idea what that means. Moving on.
It's not just that. You might pick a fate that is completely useless. Like, there are traps built into Pathfinder because, hey, they just release more fates, but when do they have time to patch a fate? You don't. It's like the elephant in the room is how we are doing it to have fates like be more compressed to become useful again and to deal with the fates bloat.
And it's not even really useful. It's kind of the opposite issue of there are some of these that are way too useful, right? and they're things that just a human being should be able to do, like power attack. Like you can swing harder but less accurately. Well, okay. Like,
yeah, that would be a great core rule. Why
right.
hide it? Basically, hide it in a feat system.
Yeah, there's no reason for that to be a feat. Trap options, highly overstated. Highly overstated. Like, it's unless your GM is actively out there to kill you and is like, I'm gonna, use the rules to the full extent of my power to make sure you don't win. You can build suboptimally and you'll be fine. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, the game master can always choose to act suboptimally with his NPCs as well.
Yeah.
To meet the players halfway.
Yeah. Often we try to behave in optimal ways in real life, but we never really can. It's not life. So yeah. And maybe that's part of the attraction of trying to make the perfect man in your fake game.
Guys, it's been fun, but I'm kind of getting to my time limit.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Conway. If you gotta go, go, and we'll
a small bit since you're still here, Conway. What do you think about building into a prestige class, which means you have to build your whole character backwards if you want to touch that side of the game in the first place?
I feel like the main issue with that question and just Pathfinder in general is that there are multiple ways to actually build your character built into the system, and they give you perhaps too much choice in that regard. But in doing so, they allow for you to really specify what your character is, which I think is very fun. And I think that this is perhaps why I find my characters to be in the crossroads, why I find them to be a gestalt of the rules and what I want them to be in the world, right? And that to me is very interesting because that makes Pathfinder, that plus, of course, all of the different modular systems that Pathfinder grants you. That's why I think it's a very useful system to use and why I think that it gives you a lot of support. But I will agree that it is rough to see that much support at the start, and instead of it helping, it can make it feel like you're drowning in help, right?
Yeah.
And like when your grandma wants to press your cheeks, she's she loves you, but it is in a way a little bit hurtful at the start, right?
Yep. And
I think it's an acquired taste.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also think that it's not for everyone.
Well, remember the lines of work that I'm in we've got a menu of 300 scotches on there, so I'm used to looking at a giant wall of text of Auchentoshan, American Oak, Glenfiddich, Glenmorangie. None of these are in English, and you're like, what's that? Oh, well, that's a peated Scotch, and it's like there's no trick to it. It's just you try them out, and after a while, you find out which ones you like and which ones you don't like, and it's a matter of whether or not you want to put the time and money. Luckily here, it's just the time into finding out, whether or not you like peated scotches or single malts or that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it's absolutely just a taste thing.
And I love how Pathfinder, everything is really available on the internet for you to try out.
Yeah. And this is also why I say, like, look up guides. Some nerd has spent the hours to go through and go, this feed is good for this thing. This is probably what you want to do here. And then don't take the guide as an optimization guide. Take it as here's a selection, because somebody was talking about optimizing. You can't optimize in Pathfinder. There's too many options. You will not be able to take everything that you want to take, right? It doesn't have the issue that like 5e does, where it's like, I always pick variant human, I always pick polearm master or what have you, because it's just the best way to pump out damage. No, there is no best way to pump out damage in Pathfinder. It can't, nobody's done the math and it's like, well, maybe in this one tiny edge case you can pump out, 1,000 damage around or something like that. No, really, it's,
The really cool part is coming up with your idea first. And then look at the feats, like which feat supports my idea.
Exactly.
And role play that.
Yes. Most people miss that third part.
I didn't have to think very hard.
And ask him how I can build a character the way I want, right?
Yeah,
It
that too.
absolutely does.
I didn't have to think very hard. What if I played a dwarf and he's also a monk, but he wasn't from a monastery? And the last part is like, well, that's not really a rules option, but I can take like a dwarven racial feats that I'm like with poison. What's it called? Poison
Oh
something.
yeah, the like poison slave, like you're
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called exactly, but yeah, it's
And now
really
the
cool.
rules are informing the background again. And I'm
Exactly.
using the feats to inform the background and to make my dwarf unique. Not, oh, he's black with ginger hair, unique, but actually
Surface level, yeah.
a different culture from a
Yeah.
different place, from a different tribe.
Yeah, and you played that very well.
Mhm.
It's been great
Thank you.
fun, guys. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. I'll see you,
Have a
Conway.
good one, man.
Thanks for showing up. What was I gonna say there? I was gonna say something about that. But yeah, you know, somebody mentioned that it's like in my video, which I'm gonna keep unlisted because it was just kind of a rambly video, and I'll expound upon the points I made in it because people had some good comments. Where it was like, yeah, I'm not really into the whole mechanical thing because it just leads to people optimizing the stuff. That's only if it's a bad, crunchy game, though, right? You know, all good games, you know, you look at a good fighting game, you can see a good, deep fighting game. The top 8 will be lots of different characters. You know, there'll be a big variety of the stuff that you can play. A bad competitive fighting game, it can still have the same amount of mechanical depth, but you can end up with Tekken 6 Evo, where it's just all Bob. Everybody is only playing Bob because because people played it for long enough and were like, oh, there's no reason to play anything else but Bob after a long enough time, right?
Right.
But
It's like, okay, it's like you release a new fighting game, but
Right.
you cannot actually sequence break the enemy's combo
Yeah,
because you just ran out of stamina
Yeah.
that one time, and now you're in an eternal loop.
Yeah.
Similar to a role-playing game, you can have complex rules, or you can also have complicated rules. Oh,
Yes.
they are super complex, but all the complexity isn't really resolving anything specific that the other role
You know,
could have done with just one role. The great example of that is Shadowrun for me. There's so many rules in Shadowrun that don't help at all with translating the world to, you know, to make it imaginative. You have the cool rules about the gun porn, about cyberware,
right.
that informs the world of how you interact with it and the strengths you get and how to acquire them and how to modify them, how to build them yourselves. But then you also have like a deluge of options that you also have to keep track of at the same. Let's take the rigor. Oh, all of your rules to build a drone to take control over are so minimal in comparison that it's laughable. It's like completely useless.
Yeah. And you basically need splat books to fill
Yeah.
out the rigor. Like the core book, you're flipping through it and you're like, well, hang on. There's literally things in core book Shadowrun 5 on the rigor that are like, oh, well, for drone piloting, you refer to this page, and you go to that page and there's nothing there, and you're like, well, they just didn't finish writing this book, did they?
Yeah. And also like complex and convoluted. It's of
Yeah.
if you can have the same rules like work in different contexts to work at the same pace,
Right.
kind of deal, so that you don't remember 3 separate rules like Nicholas complained with the feats. They all have their own mini rule, but if they all work very similar or the same, you can plug and play and don't have this computational load in your mind trying to make it all work somehow.
Right. Yeah. And there's, like I said, there's definitely a lot of feats that are better about that than others. But it is a matter of going through them and finding out which is which, right? Because that's the thing with the game like Pathfinder. It's been through dozens and dozens of designers. You know, it's not always the core designers that worked on just the core rulebook.
Yeah.
It's also, these 4 guys made the advanced class guide, and then these 5 guys did the Inner Sea World guide, and then these 6 guys did this other thing, you know. So there's a huge amount of variety, for better and worse. You know, it allows you to make such a huge variety and swath of characters, and also means that there's a huge variety of the quality of the content that's in there.
All right.
So yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword.
Well,
Yeah,
we could keep talking, or we could end the stream. I'll leave it up to you guys. Is there anything left on the table? I mean, you know, we're not gonna stop making videos, so we can always pick it up at another time.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to leave it to comments. So any other questions you guys have, we're fair to answer. The other thing, obviously, that I would change if I was running this again, I would use my own homebrew document. You know, I had already finished a big homebrew document that tackles a lot of the big problems. Like, I go through and I find yet more feats where I'm like, you needed a feat to, somebody thought that you needed a feat to do that. No, this is a nerd. Get rid of this. And it's mostly just me cutting things. It's, you know, not too many new rules to keep track of. It's fewer rules to keep track of, though a lot of them would not have shown up, right?
Okay.
How would you change how you play if your goal was to teach the game? It would not be a suggestion that Nicholas don't play a swashbuckler. I would tell him don't play a swashbuckler. I would probably tell Zonalar don't play a monk, right? I would keep it at level 1. I wouldn't start us at level 2 or 3. I would say level 1. You're going to play a fighter. You're going to play a rogue. You're going to play a wizard. You're going to play one of the simple characters. And just know, you need to know that you're rolling a d20 most of the time. You're rolling skills. You just add that number to the thing. It's pretty self-explanatory, you know, explaining all that session 0. Other than that, you know, just do what your character would do, and I will occasionally interrupt you by prompting for a die roll, right? So I would probably take Big Bad's advice, which I disagree with if you're playing with seasoned role players, which is don't roll unless the GM asks you to. I think that's great advice for teaching. I think once you've learned the game, once you figured the thing out, though, I'm sneaking around. I know I need to roll stealth. Just cut out the middleman back and forth, right? But for teaching, I would absolutely say don't roll unless don't, because you'll roll when you absolutely don't need to as a beginner. Especially for
that was a topic that I contacted Conway on, and about me rolling intimidation as the lush on the kobolds without you prompting me. But I prompted you. This is a thing I'm doing. I'm intimidating the kobold. I'm sneaking out of the bushes. And then I, like, unprompted rolled the intimidation. And Conway's big point is, like, you don't need to do that. But you rolling kind of negates your role play, because either the game master gives you what you want or he doesn't. And if there's any chance up in the air, he would ask you for the intimidation check. But I think, from my point of view, I don't want to rely on the game master to tell me every time I'm allowed to roll the dice in a role-playing game.
I think so too,
Rolling the dice is also fun. And I'm already like self-regulating how often I pick up those funny math rocks.
Right.
I'm not like throwing them on the table just for the dopamine hit. I'm thinking about what would be a moment where I think I'm not sure if I get what I want, but my character would want to try to get the best results. I'm throwing on the dice as well.
And I think I like it because it keeps me as a GM on my toes, and it can lead to, when done sparingly, the comedic relief moments I think are funny. You know, like if you had failed there, you've got a bunch of like armed kobolds that are just like laughing at this one dude that jumped out of nowhere. Like, what the hell is this guy doing? You know, he's trying to, he's one man. What can he do? It could have been a totally different scene than I would have, thought of.
And that's tough for the players, right? Like, oh, they roll bad, and now their characters look like a fool. But it's also, that doesn't break the world. Your character sometimes can look like a fool, and the dice also does inform that.
Right. Yeah. So that's one thing I would change. Yeah, and Austin says, I can see both sides. Table convention on which rolls can be made without the GM asking would work. Yeah, that's true. Obviously, you're making your, like the one that bugs me the most is it's like, you need to roll attack. If you're attacking somebody, you need to roll, right? But of course, with new players, I'm always lenient with, and I'm pretty lenient with it in general. Of like a very quick, what do I roll for that? Yeah, no problem. Like it's when it becomes egregious things like it's the big one with 20 sides on it. It's the same die you've been using for 3 hours now. That's when my patience starts to, oh my God, we're not. Because guess what? That doesn't actually speed anything up. In fact, it slows things down because sometimes you miss and then you just rolled extra dice for no reason.
In fact, I have 2 buttons for that. Got the 1 button, and if I hit, I got the 2nd button. There you go.
There you go. Nice and easy. Good and quick. So yeah, that's that's true. But it's extra dice to chase down, and if it's unnecessary, then just why do it? Just don't, like.
All right, like in a way, that was also the argument. Okay, if the players keep rolling, like, I'm looking around and rolls a perception check. Mm-hmm. You are, in a way, like, okay, every time you roll, you're lowering the stakes of why you're rolling in the first place. And if you limit how often you roll to the most important stuff, it's exciting. Like, the number that comes up on the die is actually exciting because it matters. So you don't want to, like, water down the stakes, so to say, by rolling for every building you enter on an insight check and a perception check and your investigation check.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if a player rolls an unprompted check that wasn't required. Yeah, it's like I said, if there was no consequence for failure, then whatever, just move on. It's fine.
Happens all the times in the games I run, like 40 games as well. Like someone tries something and then go for rolling and like instant success, and they take on, they ignore whatever because there was no reason to fail there,
Right. And it's a weird mindset if you think, well, the die must be honored once you roll them. The verisimilitude of the world must be preserved. So if you roll a die and it has absolutely nothing to do with the world, like there was no chance of success or failure. Either you succeed or you fail because of how your character interacted with the world. Then the die had no power in the first place.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a weird one. It's a weird intersection because it's like, oh, we want to stay like the world isn't true anymore if I start ignoring the die. Almost like reaching the fudging territory. But I think it's the opposite of the world is true whether you roll the dice or not.
Right. Just means the DC of me picking this thing up is like 1 or 0. It's it's free. I didn't need to put effort into it. Now see, I can do it without even looking at it. Right. It's when it's that easy. It's like, is there really a 5% chance that you screw something up here? No, not even that. So it's like just it's fine. Right. It's not fudging. It's just the difficulty is that low. Right. And Adept Austin says, I also wanted to say thank you for helping us hold down the fort of fantasy roleplay in the 4D community. Is that what this is? It's I mean, I like crunchy games. I like fantasy, and I think it's a fantasy, particularly medieval Renaissance fantasy, It is overrepresented and underserved. It's everywhere, and almost nobody plays it seriously or, introspects deeply about it, or, which is mind-boggling, because some very serious franchises are medieval Renaissance fantasy. Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, Game of Thrones, which apparently arose from a tabletop RPG. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, allegedly that was George R.R. Martin's own GURPS games, I believe, are what a lot of that stuff is based on. Which is because he was like, why do characters die so often and so randomly? It's like, well, because it was a GURPS game, and that's
the devil lives his mark where he goes.
So it really frustrates me beyond the 4D thing to see all of these goof off, not taken seriously, because there's something so cool there, right? That could be,
this is why Kingdom Come Deliverance is a fun game,
I think so,
because the world pretends like the world is real. Like it's coded, it's written, all the factions, the NPCs in there.
Right.
What if it's real? So they go through the whole minutia of, the baker. What does his whole day look like in the town?
Yeah.
And it's thought through.
Yeah. Nicholas, you're being put on the spot.
I am being put on the spot. So my answer to that, first of all, I'm not as
Easy
versed.
D6.
Easy D6 of the way, yeah. I'm not as versed in systems because I know most of them, but I never played them myself. I don't know if I can choose one. It would have to be something that can support what, because my character is pretty straightforward. I'm just like an agile guy who used to work as a pirate, like that's very simple to transport. But
yeah,
when it comes to being a monk and doing magic, it would need to preserve the verisimilitude of how Pathfinder does it and how it implies setting with like the horsehair thing,
the material.
So I don't know what would be the best one for that.
I don't even need key, honestly. I can play the whole month without
I don't know
key.
what you do. I know that's but I don't know how the gears turn.
That's one of my favorite things about it too, is that it's like a real, monk with magic powers. It's like, I don't know how that guy does that. He's just shows up. I just work with him.
Yeah, I'm literally at that point. I'm totally fine playing a martial artist from a foreign land who has to become like. It's not like my art is being martial. I just am so stoic to survive real life.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So all the fighting techniques is how to lift a boulder, how to throw it over my shoulder, how to pin somebody down, and how to take a hit without breaking my bone, of like the abuse of the drought. Like I would just translate it all in universe, and then my chi, that one is literally just the willpower. Lots of that can be just philosophical. I don't need like the magical undertone to play this character whatsoever.
Another thing that I think that maybe poison maybe is a strong word, but determine my perspective is that my first experience is playing a module. So setting is very heavy-handed, right? I think if we were doing our own thing, I would have a different view on it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
what helps
it would
is
have to be more than Shadow Dark. I don't think.
yeah.
Shadow Dark is it's better than Easy D6 when it comes to like rules, but I think it's also too basic.
I'm thinking if Flame Zombie had another monk come up and he is channeling his chi outwardly that can shoot a fireball or some like discs that can sever body parts, or I'm thinking like Dragon Ball Z, like in the back of my head, but
right.
he can do that kind of stuff. I think that's all cool and well, and it will still be well, but that's not what my character learned. That's not how he is manifesting his powers.
Maybe the way I'm talking is implying that we're never touching a game again. But how would you play that leap when you get that feat that you can like start like using energy to like shooting energy balls? How would you
Yeah.
roleplay that? Like, you just wake up like one day, like, oh, hold on a second. Like, how do you do that? How would you specifically do it? I think I know how I would do
Okay.
it, but I want to hear from you.
Well, the cheap answer is I roleplay it.
Yeah, but that's what I want to like.
Yeah. So the long answer is every time I pick a feat or I learn something new in character, I think about how and why. Like, I gained an ability called Still Mind. That's literally it. It's a modifier because I have a still mind, so I'm better against enchantments.
Okay,
Something
we're
outward, like
fighting-
I learned a new technique that you've never seen before. I pull it out, I guess. You know.
So like, does your guy is he also surprised that he just did that?
Yeah, I am busting a new move that have never busted before. It's like, and it's not the Marvel Comics. Well, that just happens. It's like I didn't realize I had so much power in me.
The way I was thinking that you would roleplay as just being like air blast, just like a reskinning, because you don't know, but like once you ascend monkhood, then it starts showing as luminous, like, you know. That's how I would have made it.
I mean, I've drawn my dwarf throwing a pose because that's what he does to think, to focus himself. That's all it is. The way he punches boulders is to condition his body. And when he and the way I'm thinking of it, okay, if you do it often, you do it the way that is the most efficient. I start cutting away on the edges. I start stilling my mind, right? I start just focusing on my breathing, not about anything else, just the breath work itself. And then I do the same move, but a key blast comes out that hits the guy like 20 feet from me and like throws him on the fucking floor. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah,
it's gonna be like
a milestone in a session. Like everybody, even our enemies stop and like just look at like, hold on a second.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very I don't know if either of you guys are martial artists, but it's very that sort of thing.
Well, do you want to guess?
I
talked about Bob, man. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But I just mean physically moving through space. Lots of the like chi and ki, the Taoist mythology is symbolic of the moment where, you know, somebody, you know, a master shows you exactly how to punch, and for, you know, months, a year, you're like, yeah, that feels a little better. That feels a little better. And then just one day you hit that snap and you're like, what the? I've never heard that sound on the heavy bag before. What was different? What did I do different? And you can't pin it down. Well, that's the Chinese word qi. It's just energy. Energy in this, energy in your breathing, energy in your mindset, in the, you know, wuxia.
Watching all those YouTube videos helped me a lot to like get into it from not just a theory, but like seeing how they mean it and showcasing it.
But, you know, that like being surprised at yourself, like especially in sparring where you're like, I want to try this goofy thing I've seen once before, but I've never actually practiced. And a lot of the times you're like, would that work? So like there's that legit moment of like, holy shit, I'm just messing around, but wait, it's actually working. Like, and you got to think, you know, we stand on the shoulders of giants, but at some point, you know, Grug, the Neanderthal coming out of his cave, had to just start moving and just invent these techniques in the middle of thin air. So, you know,
when I had to get my +1 to one of my attributes, I was thinking like, what, based on everything that happened, what improved in Shair's, and I gave him a +1 charisma.
Yeah.
Because I thought he's getting used to the lands now, you know, living here a while, like, and because I don't think I played so far a campaign long enough for the character to really like progress,
evolve, change.
I just had that realization, man, it's so cool to like, I will not plan ahead. I'll see what happened, and then I'll build based on what happened. It was like an aspect that I thought, this is very cool. to play as.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
play.
How do I handle stat blocks for enemy combatants? Pathfinder First Edition, they're just the same as player characters. That's it. I just have the full stat block up, like anybody else does. I'll have it in another tab. I usually use an NPC. I don't make a full, unique rolled character sheet for every kobold, but it's just got the standard, kobold stat block that gives you health, AC. They're using a spear by default, but if they use a different weapon, it's not the end of the world. You have to change less. They use a club. Okay, it does the same amount of damage, but it has less reach. And no worries. One little thing to keep track of. So yeah, can be a little dizzying if you're not used to seeing it, but as long as I don't need all of this. I don't need to know what their skill and trap making is for this particular thing. It might have been nice to know if somebody was like, "Hey, can you, if one of you were like, hey, can you, help us set up a trap for this dragon or something like that, instead of just telling them to get the hell out of here." Then maybe it could have popped up. So I like that it's there, but no, I'm looking at health, AC, saves, attack.
What that will be decks? You could look at their decks and extrapolate because you already know the system well enough, right?
That and intelligence. Intelligence is obviously something I'm going to look at, because the amount of creatures that people play as if they're mindless monstrosities, and then you look and you're like, no, mimics are human intelligence. And you're like, well, hang on, that's created a totally different paradigm on what this thing is. And then more to that, it's like, what's their alignment? I'm not in love with alignment as a system, but just as a general thing, it's like, oh, they're also neutral. It's like, what? That's a total paradigm shift on the way people play mimics is just these mindless, man-eating monsters.
In D&D, they can talk common.
Yeah.
So they can talk, you guys.
Yeah.
Since I got 4th level, I can choose my key power, which I didn't choose yet. So here are some examples, the metabolism. I need to eat food every 4th day, pretty much.
Yeah. Yep.
Or high jump. Oh, you jump fast. Key range. I can shoot my throwing star. Your kunai or whatever, your dagger, 20 feet further. And then I have empty body where I entered a state of etherealness for a minute. Or better balance.
Astral project, yeah.
Better balance. I just choose to roll a natural 20 on an acrobatics check whenever I feel like it. I think it's once a day kind of deal.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have access to become the anime protagonist.
Yeah. And the non-roleplay side of that, the more mechanical side of that is if you just wanted to play, a normal, there's the martial artist archetype, which just says, oh, we get rid of key points. You don't have any key. Instead, you get immunity to fatigue, immunity to exhaustion, immunity to all. You are just a physical specimen. That's it. That's level 4. Yeah, exactly. It's because people don't read the whole stat block. They don't
honestly, neither should you. It's not like your Sunday study of the Bible. You don't need to pick the book back from back.
That's true. Yeah, but and further that the little paragraph at the bottom of a lot of these descriptions also doesn't inform you of that. It's like, oh, where you find them in dungeons and they're usually solitary creatures, and you're like, hang on, what is the mimic culture? What what this is not like a creature in an ecosystem. This is like Bill down the street, but he just happens to be a treasure chest with teeth. So it's part of the writing fault, but I think that's a cool thing to explore in lieu of us getting an actual explanation from the designers. So yeah, that's another thing that I really like about Pathfinder. It's like, oh, I want to play a monk, but I don't really want all the mystical powers. This guy never, maybe it is a guy that really just, dude, I just do push-ups in the backyard and, you know, punch rocks. And it's like, well, that's there for you. That's...
Yeah, absolutely. I can go both ways of let the role play inform the choices I take when I level up.
Yep.
Or think about what would be cool for my character. Pick that and then work backwards. How do I make this work for the role play? And if you're invested in role playing, you gotta think about it. If you're not invested in role playing, you're gonna hand wave it.
Yeah.
And people immediately know at the table because they ask, wait, how would your character react now that he can turn ethereal? It's like, oh, I don't know. I guess he just kind of picked it up, you know?
Yeah. Or, you know, it could be a, you know,
I thought it would be cool to ignore locked doors like every once in a while for us.
You could play it the Batman way when, you know, you find out Batman can astral project and you're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I've always been able to do that. And it's like,
I've always been able to do
that.
Okay. Holy shit. Can people even see me if I'm ethereal? Am I like...
No, I don't believe so.
So you will watch me meditate and I literally disappear.
Disappear from existence.
That would be fucking sakura trees, you know, the cherry blossoms all fall down and they swoosh past me and I'm just like gone with the wind.
Bye. He finally ascended. He became too enlightened and now he's gone.
Then I come out of the kitchen with a cheese wheel, you know, like eating it.
Yeah.
How did you get there? Why did you took the cheese?
Yeah.
I was...
Yeah, invisible, insubstantial, and you can pass through solid objects and go, you know, you have 6 degrees of freedom, so you can go anywhere you want.
Is it its own plane like D&D does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
you
have
also-
to fight so many space spiders for invading the
Yeah,
space.
you transcend and you become the schizophrenic of like, there's people in the walls, there's people in the floors. What are you talking about, man? It's like, they're always there.
I might just do it because that sounds absolutely banger, you know. This sounds so much fun.
You disappear, we think he's gone. We leave you, like, you're alone in the dungeon now when you come back. Because we thought someone teleported you, you know.
We'll make some ghost
You
friends,
guys have problems with a dragon. I have a solution. Disappears.
You built in a fade in OBS.
Yeah. I literally fade out my character portrait while I'm invisible.
Yeah. There's a lot of Lovecraftian influence in Pathfinder.
Peace, guys.
But it was already we already tackled that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's one of the biggest differences between like Galarian and Forgotten Realms is that Galarian, they're both still, you know, the sort of grab bag fantasy where you got a little bit of, you know, Eastern fantasy options, Western fantasy options, Russian, all the different things. Paizo has a lot more to do with Lovecraft, weird fantasy stuff. Trending, like Gonzo, but believable, right? Like crazy things happen up to the point where it's like, if it was much crazier, it would be like, okay, this is just nonsense. But it's it takes itself seriously. So, yeah.
True.
Well, I have to go here. Get ready for my. You're gonna get us banned. You're gonna get us banned, Austin. But thank you guys for coming. Impromptu sort of stream today. Hopefully next Thursday we're playing again. We're back at it. And yeah, this was a good way to get back into the flow of things. Leave any of your other questions down below in the comments, or if you're if most of you guys are in the Discord as well, ask me there on anything. And
For sure.
We will see you guys next Thursday. You can find Zonar at his channel. You can find Nicholas at Terra RPG. You know these guys. Anyways, any other closing thoughts from you guys?
Nah, man. I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. Sounds good. See you guys when I see you. Bye.